Whether the team is giving us the highest of highs or the bluest of blues, we'll cover it all here on Commanders Nightly News. I, of course, am your host, Louie T. Thank you for joining me. Let's get to tonight's lead story. So, first day of practice for the work week 8 in the National Football League. Indianapolis Colts coming up on the docket. No Chase Young at practice today. That was the big storyline going into practice this week was, would we get Chase Young on the practice field to start the week off? The answer is no. Now, don't rule him out for this Sunday's contest versus the Indianapolis Colts. He cannot practice today, practice a bit tomorrow, practice on Friday, make the trip to Indy, be activated Saturday, and play. Okay? All signs point to week 9 against the Minnesota Vikings. Okay. Week 9 has been what I've circled on the calendar from the minute he was put on IR to start the season on the PUP list. Week 9 was the number. That was the magic number. I'm still looking at week 9 as the target date. Generally, when they're excited about a guy and they think he's going to come back like they were with Brian Robinson, there are no doubts. There is some practice. And there's optimism. That's not what I'm hearing. I'm hearing that he's on, target. Everything looks good. He's checking all the boxes off. They just want to hear from Dr. Andrews. First, it was supposed to be Sunday. Now it's Wednesday. The target date for when he's supposed to talk to Dr. Andrews keeps moving backwards, which tells me it's highly unlikely it's going to be this week. I'm not worried. One more week without Chase isn't going to kill us. We've come this far without him. We can go one more week and then be ready for the stretch run. Hopefully he'll come back and complete this defense up front and really give us a chance to be one of the better units moving forward the remainder of the year. But just keep your eye on it, okay? Don't close the door completely shut on his return this week. But just if I were putting a percentage on it, there's a 10% chance he plays this week. It's a 90% chance that he's not going to play. I'm putting it at 75% chance that he plays next week against Minnesota. That's where I'm with this situation. That's where I'm at with mine. Probably not going to play this week. Feeling really good about his chances of playing. And I always just envisioned his first game back being at home. Doesn't have to travel. All of that, the decisions that they have to make, they can push it back a little bit more. You're more comfortable with him staying on a regular schedule at home. Okay. So, again, I think it's going to be a home game, and this is the last one. That Minnesota game is the last one before you play the only stretch of football that you have this entire season with 2 straight road games, okay? At Philadelphia on a Monday night and then at Houston the following week. That's the only stretch this season. That's why, for me, when I was looking at the schedule, there were so many layers. It wasn't just the teams that we were playing. It was everything about the schedule, even down to the bye week. Having that week 6 Thursday night game was a godsend. I know the players hate Thursday night and it's tough on their bodies and all of that, but the extra time is invaluable. It's like a bye week because we don't get our bye week until week 14, right? So it's so late in the season on week 13, week 14. I think it's week 14 because it's 10. Philadelphia's 10, Houston's 11, Atlanta's 12, the Giants are 13, bye week, Giants 15. So it's not till week 14. But even with that said, I couldn't think of a better time for that bye week to come to give us a chance. If we're in it, they're going to be rejuvenated, hopefully healthy, and ready for that stretch run. And so one of the things that I talked about when I felt like 12-5 was doable was, and really it was 11-6, but I said 12-5 and I was going to stick by it. But I was like, it's really 11-6. That's the magic number. When I talked about that, it wasn't just the teams that we were playing on the schedule, even though that was a huge part of it. It was when we were playing those teams, and it was the fact that we didn't have 3 out of 4 on the road, twice or 3 times on the schedule. It wasn't a bunch of 3 straight road games, right? Just this crazy stretch of football. It's literally this one stretch here, and it is technically 3 out of 4, right? You play the Indianapolis Colts, then the Minnesota Vikings at home, and then 2 straight road games. So technically it is 3 out of 4. But I'm not looking at it that way. You get a home game, then you got 2 straight on the road, and then you come back, and then you got 2 at home, right? And so you make up for it. I think we don't get the 2 at home until later on in the season because I think Atlanta's at home, The Giants are on the road, if I'm not mistaken, before the bye. You come off the bye, Giants are at home, and I think it's another home game. I think you go to San Francisco, and then it's 2 straight at home to finish up the season, home for Cleveland and home for Dallas, if I'm not mistaken. I think that's the schedule. I've never committed a schedule to memory. I think I might have done it with this schedule. That's how amped I was for this season. And there's still hope that we could turn this thing into something. But this is a big one coming up this week. I want to put a bow, however, on the Week 7 win over Green Bay. I had a chance to look at the film. For those of you who already watched the film, some of you were there watching it with me live. Appreciate you guys. If you're a member of the MOBB, a gold member to be specific, the film is up and there for your consumption. If you're a member of Patreon, shout out to y'all as well. The film is up on Patreon. All Mob Squad members will get studs and duds tomorrow. That will be uploaded. Same with Patreon supporters. You will have access to studs and duds tomorrow. So be on the lookout for that as well. However, I just want to put a bow on the performance. We should have scored 30 against the Packers going back and watching the film. It was a masterpiece turned in by Scott Turner. We've been killing him. I know I've been out in front of the pitchfork and torch group that has been looking to light his ass up the last couple of weeks and really over the last month or so. And he deserved it. He was awful for a stretch there, especially. And I get it. There are a lot of different circumstances and factors. Carson Wentz being new to this offense, the offensive line being in shambles. There's so many moving parts, but he was, to me, at the crux of the problem with the offense over the last month or so. You enter in Taylor Heinicke, you stabilize the offensive line. It's to me, I don't want to say it's a coincidence, but it's not a coincidence to me that the offensive line kind of gets stabilized and Heinicke enters. We still gave up pressures in this game. You know, you go back, and it's funny because when you watched it live, some of you might have identified this. But I didn't feel the pressure as much. You know why? Because our guy wasn't getting sacked 15 times. Our guy wasn't getting hit and throwing incomplete passes. He was eluding the rush, as mobile quarterbacks often do in this league. You don't even have to be mobile. That's not the right term. Pocket mobility, okay? Pocket-wise and mobile quarterbacks are able to dip the shoulder, as we saw Heinicke do time after time, and buy more time in the pocket. Heinicke dipped the shoulder, maneuvered in and out of the pocket, and got up the A-gap and extended, found a wide open Amani Rodgers over the middle of the football field. He dipped the shoulder, ran out of the pocket for 4 yards. He dipped the shoulder, maneuvered, and was able to get up the field before, getting hit from behind and fumbling. But these are things that we're not accustomed to seeing with Carson Wentz, which is why I've gone back and forth with my guy, Derek B. We're having another one of our spirited discussions about the effectiveness of this offense and what's the cause of it. He seems to think that this offense would have done a lot of the same things with Carson Wentz under center because they ran the football effectively. But my point to him continues to be, you don't get to run it 38 times if you're not converting 3rd and 11 with a great throw by Taylor Heinicke, by dipping the shoulder, creating some time, and then finding Curtis Samuel, or dipping the shoulder, stepping up in the pocket, maneuvering, and finding Amani Rodgers on a 3rd and medium. Finding that sidearm slot to Terry McLaurin on a 3rd and 2. You're not getting more opportunities to run the football effectively if you're not converting these 3rd downs, if that makes any sense. So there were times where Scott Turner called a 1st down play action pass. There's pressure, and Heinicke eludes the pressure and ends up with the gain of 4, or ends up with an incomplete pass, but it's not an 8-9 yard sack, which it would have been if Wentz was in the game. Cornelius Lucas got beat. I thought that he was solid in the game, but I thought he set a soft edge in the pass game. I thought too often edge rushers on his side were able to turn the corner at roughly 8 yards, which if you're a tackle, you're trying to push that edge rusher out to 10 yards because now you've got a healthy pocket set. Quarterback can step up with no issues. At 8 yards, it's tough for that quarterback to have anywhere to step up to. That's too short of a corner. if you're tackled to set at. You've got to be able to push and too often we saw Rashawn Gary trying to grab or Kenny Clark trying to grab at Taylor Heinicke. And again, I thought Heinicke was the difference in why this offense, again, with a very robust run game. Don't want to leave that out. I thought the offensive line in the run game was really stout. And I thought these running backs did a really good job. I thought that was really the key. The running backs doing a tremendous job of setting up blockers. Okay, not being too hasty to want to hit the hole or make a decision. They were patient. They let these blocks develop. They baited these defenders to come inside, and then they would get outside, especially Antonio Gibson. I thought it was a beautiful job by those running backs of being patient and creating opportunities in the run game. And then Scott Turner's creativity. I mean, we saw Amani Rodgers at quarterback. You know what I'm saying? Read option. This is a position he's familiar with, having been a quarterback this time last year at the University of Ohio. Putting him there was genius, and having him hand it off to Curtis Samuel and getting it to Samuel in a multitude of ways. Again, we haven't seen Curtis Samuel this involved in the offense, especially as a runner, since week 1 versus Jacksonville, which is why I'm reserving my praise for Scott Turner long-term. This is just for this game only because he had more time to prepare for the Green Bay Packers due to that pseudo bye week. The 2 times he's had extensive amount of time to prepare, he's given us the Scott Turner that we've come to know, not necessarily love, but we've come to know that this guy can be creative and do some dynamic things. Okay. That's the Scott Turner that got the extension, not the guy we've seen for the previous month or so of this season. Okay. That's the guy there that late in the ball game put Alex Arma in at fullback and then ran a weak halfback dive, right? Halfback power, excuse me, from the weak I formation and got a 7-yard run. And now I was frustrated with him because you get 7 on 2nd and 10 with the chance to end the game, and you get 7 and make a 3rd and 3. Why not go back to Alex Arma, leave him in the game and run, I again, whether you go strong I, weak I, or just traditional I really don't give a shit. Okay. I really don't give a shit. Just keep him in the game. He had a hell of a block as the lead blocker on that play. He got up, juiced up, leave him in. But I thought it was a really good game plan. And honestly speaking, Scott Turner has a much better feel for calling a game with Taylor Heinicke as the quarterback. And Heinicke makes everything kind of come together with the way that he plays. It's not always, perfect, and he could definitely be better. But we knew this. This isn't a surprise. The offense was way more efficient with Heinicke under center. We knew this. We said this without a doubt. This was going to be the case. The reason I say that we could have scored 30 in this game. Remember, we settled for 2 second half field goals. All right. We had 3 consecutive drives in the second half that produced points when we scored 20 unanswered points. Remember, the score was 14-3. Okay. Score was 14-3. So we scored 20 unanswered points in this game. We scored the touchdown on the opening drive of the second half to take the lead to Terry McLaurin. Okay. After that drive, we had another drive after that drive. And that drive produced a field goal, but there was an opportunity for a touchdown to Cam Sims on a play action fake. Heinicke's got him. He's going to rip that thing deep. I don't know if it would have made it there or not, but all I can tell you is Cam Sims is 45 yards down the field, wide open by about 3 yards. Okay. Even if this thing is underthrown, I trust my 6'5" wide receiver to go up and put his nutsack on the helmet of this safety that has no idea where the football is. And either he's going to draw a PI, he's going to catch this ball, and it's inside the Packers 5-yard line, or it's going to be a touchdown. I didn't see incomplete being or interception being an option here. He was so wide open, and this play was well designed, and Amani Rodgers could not hold his block. And that's the play where Heinicke tries to throw it. He gets yanked back. They initially ruled it a fumble on the field, which it was clearly an incomplete pass, but they threw the blue beanie, which means that's a fumble. It was recovered by Washington, John Bates recovered it. Ron Rivera challenged, which was the right move. That was going to be a 7-yard loss. Instead, it ended up being a no loss, and it was 2nd and 10. But that play had so much potential because Cam Sims was open for a touchdown 40 yards down the field. And Heinicke was loading up to throw it to him. Don't know. Again, it's Heinicke. I don't know if it was going to get there or not. But even if it hung up in there like a punt, I trust Cam Sims to go up and get it. And I feel bad for Cam Sims because he's been open 3 or 4 times down the field, and every single time the quarterback's loading up to give him a chance, he gets hit. And so he hasn't had that one play like he did against Dallas last year where he went up and put ball juice fragments all over the helmet of Trayvon Diggs as he mossed on him in the end zone. I'm waiting for that opportunity for him this year, and every time he has it, a defender takes it away. So that was one opportunity that would have resulted in either a touchdown or an opportunity to score a touchdown. And then Curtis Samuel was open on the next possession that we scored a field goal on. Curtis Samuel was open, and Taylor Heinicke throws him the football. And if you remember, Curtis Samuel scored a touchdown against Jacksonville in week 1, and it was a similar play call. He gets outside into the flats. He's throwing the football up the field. It's leading him up the field, and so he's able to catch it, turn, dive for the pylon, and score the touchdown. This is a similar play call, similar opportunity, except Heinicke doesn't make and this wasn't pressure. This wasn't Heinicke throwing off his back foot. None of that. Heinicke's feet are set. He's driving his weight off of that back foot like he's supposed to. He's transferred the weight properly. There's no excuse for this. And this wasn't first half jittery, unequal, unbalanced, and off-kilter Taylor Heinicke. This is second half. I'm stroking it and feeling good. Pause. I know a lot of you are immature out there. And he's in his bag now. This throw has to lead Curtis Samuel up the field. If you recall the play I'm talking about, Samuel catches the ball around the 4-yard line, coming back towards the 5. But his momentum was taking him towards the pylon. If that ball's thrown up the field towards that pylon, it's a touchdown. He's going to catch it. He's going to turn. Either he's going to run in or he's going to dive for the pylon and he's going to score. But Heinicke's throw brings him back towards the 5-yard line. He catches it, stops all of his momentum, has to turn and then try to make a move. The defender essentially jumps on his back and he falls forward to like the 3-yard line. That should have been a touchdown. And ultimately, we end up not getting in, having to settle for like a 19-yard field goal or whatever. And that's another missed opportunity. We have to be better in the red zone. That's going to come back to haunt us if we can't get the football into the end zone. We saw it against Tennessee. It was ugly again this week against Green Bay, but luckily it did not cost us the game. It could have, had Aaron Rodgers had enough time. It could have most certainly cost us the ball game. So we've got to start scoring touchdowns. And then, of course, you had the missed field goal from Joey Sly. So we should have scored 30 on these boys. Look, they're probably saying, hey, we should have had that fumble and we had opportunities that we missed. Sure. But we had more opportunities than you did. And we should have scored 30 on these boys. They got away, man. And I'll just say this. Defensively, we were good, but we weren't great. And we got away with a lot of stuff because Aaron Rodgers wasn't Aaron Rodgers and he wasn't great and he didn't make accurate throws. And I think that thumb was really bothering him. And so, at one point he was handing off the ball with his left hand. So the right hand was that right thumb was definitely bothering him. He was inaccurate, but I can tell you this. I think more so than his thumb, it was just the psychological beating he took a week ago against the Jets that set him up. Sometimes it's not, a team being what they are. It's just when you get that team. 3 weeks from now, Aaron Rodgers may be back in his bag and Dallas might not see the same Green Bay Packers team that we saw this week. But I just know the Jets beat the shit out of him. Had we played him after New England, I don't know if we get this same team, But the Jets beat the shit out of him last week. He wanted no parts. And he played this Washington defense and we kicked his ass last year. Okay? We doubled them up in yards. I told you last year's game was so weird. We doubled them up in yards gained, and we were in the red zone 5 times in that game. And I think we came away with 3 points total out of 5 red zone trips. And these weren't, 3rd and 7 from the 19, and that counts as a red. No, we were inside the Packers 5-yard line on like 3 different occasions. Heinicke throws a pick. Heinicke fails on a 4th down quarterback sneak. And then you had I think a field goal that was blocked. And then you had a Heinicke Gibson fumble. Like we created ways to not score against the Packers the last time. We didn't double them up, but we damn near doubled them up in the yardage again. But I think a lot of Aaron Rodgers' play can be attributed to what he did, what he went through last week with the Jets, but also what we did to him last year. That was in the front of his mind, not the back of his mind. That was in the front of his mind because his feet were happy. He was throwing off a platform that he didn't have to. He got good protection for the most part in this game, but he was antsy back there. So anyway, I digress. We didn't do anything special against Aaron Rodgers. The defense wasn't great. They didn't make plays. But again, that's not our fault. Period. So let's move on to in other news. And we heard from Jack Del Rio today, which was odd. And I knew something was off, and I didn't know why until I hit social media. And I saw a tweet from JP Finley that said Ron Rivera was dealing with a family matter pertaining to his mother. Prayers and thoughts go to him and his family. Hope everything is okay with his mother. You know, obviously Ron Rivera is an older man himself. So if his parents are still alive, which they both are, you know, they've got to be up there in age as well. So I hope all is well there. Hope everything is okay. But he had to go deal with the family matter. It's got to be serious if he's leaving the team during the course of the week. So thoughts and prayers go out to Ron Rivera and his family. Hopefully all is well there. But because he was not there I was thinking, you know, my mind raced and went straight to cancer. Like, oh my God, is this, you know, him having to go for some kind of treatment or something? Did they find something? Like, I got all nervous. Like, this is odd. You know, Ron on a Wednesday and we're getting Jack. What's going on? So hopefully everything's okay with his mom. But we got Jack in his place because remember, when he wasn't here last year, Jack was the interim head coach. So we heard from Jack today. And some of the reporters tried to treat Jack like he was standing in for Ron, and Jack was like, bro, I'm still the defensive coordinator. Chill. Like, they tried to ask him Taylor Heinicke injury questions, and Jack's like, what? What are you talking about? Look, the dude practiced. Don't ask me any questions about any injuries. I'm not the head coach. I'm just the defensive coordinator. Okay. So Jack spoke. We heard from Taylor Heinicke. We'll you know, comb over what was said quickly. But I do want to first take a look at the injury report. I can say this is not something I say often, but for the first time, we may have found a team more banged up than us. I'm not saying, I'm just saying, let's take a look at the injury report. So ours is a laundry list like it always is. You start out with Sadiq Charles' illness. So hopefully that's nothing serious, and he's able to come back and practice at some point this week. I wouldn't be shocked if he didn't practice again tomorrow. But if I'm not mistaken, Wes Schweitzer is eligible to come off of IR. So it'll be interesting to see what they decide to do there. And I expect Sam Cosmi back this week. And, you know, there was this whole conversation about Cornelius Lucas staying at right tackle. I think we can put that to bed for now. He was not great in the game on Sunday. I'd like to see Sam Cosmi back at right tackle personally. So, but trust me, I love Cornelius Lucas as our swing tackle. Just know that we're blessed to have him. So, Jahan Dotson hamstring. I'm not holding my breath. You know, I'm thinking more along the lines of Minnesota for him too. We'll reevaluate him next week. Anytime you start, like I said, you start talking about hamstrings, they're tricky, man. They take time, especially with a foreign automobile like Jahan Dotson. You know, those can be in the shop for a while with specific parts. So it sucks that he got a hammy because it could be a while, man. Grab a Snickers. Cole Holcomb, foot. He's been on the injury report before. Don't really pay much attention to it until he actually misses action behind an injury. I'm just going to assume he's going to be okay. And I told you, Wednesday, if there's ever a day for a guy to miss practice, it's Wednesday. You're just installing this week's game plan. If you can take mental notes, today's the day to do that. So Thursday, I expect some of these guys to be limited, like Sadiq, if he's there, Cole Holcomb. I'm going to go out on a limb and say this. Until the trade deadline comes and goes, William Jackson III will be permanently on the injury report with the back and will not practice. I'm not shocked that trade deadline isn't until November 1st, which is a Tuesday. That's the last day. I wouldn't be surprised if magically next week on Wednesday, he's all of a sudden limited or full participant with that back. We'll see. I think they're still actively trying to move him. That's just my opinion. I could be wrong, but we will see. Cole Turner, concussion. He's not playing this week. All right, he's not playing this week. Hopefully we'll get him back next week. De'Ami Brown, groin, limited. That's a good sign. He did not practice at all last week. Logan Thomas, calf, limited. We'll see. He tricked us last week, early in the week. He told us he felt fine on Wednesday and then ended up not really practicing Thursday or Friday. So limited is good. We'll see where that goes. Now that Cole Turner is not going to play, we really could use Logan Thomas back in the lineup. Jonathan Williams, knee, limited. That's good news, even though we love the three backs that we have. But, I'd like to have him back healthy, if at all possible. Sam Cosmi, finger. He's going to play this week. I feel really confident in saying that. And Taylor Heinicke, calf. Didn't even know he had an injury. Full participant. I don't think there's anything to see here. He might have come in a little sore, so they had to report it. But I think Taylor Heinicke is going to be just fine. But again, something just to keep an eye on, but I don't think it's anything serious. We said the same thing about Carson Wentz with a shoulder injury, and he played against the Bears, ended up, breaking his finger, which is a totally separate injury, but we'll keep our eye on the calf, but hopefully it's nothing major. No one even asked him about it. He was on the injury report. They knew about the injury report before they talked to him, and no one even brought it up to him. So I don't think it's a big deal. All right. So now we go from Washington to the Indianapolis Colts. And as you can see, their list is just as long as ours, if not longer. All right. Now, it's not a legitimate list like ours is, because the first two guys don't have any ailments. They just literally are getting veteran rest. That's it. So Stephon Gilmore, veteran rest. There's nothing wrong with him. And NRI means non-injury related. So these guys are just literally getting rest. Yannick Ngakoue, same thing. So again, those guys are playing, so you could remove them from the injury report. Kwity Paye, on the other hand, has an ankle. I don't think he's going to play. He's been out for a little bit. I don't think he's going to play. It's a significant ankle injury. They were scared at the time of the injury that he might be done for the season. He's not, but I don't think he's playing this week. Grant Stewart, pec injury. Not going to play. Matt Ryan, we already know he's done for the season in terms of being a starter as of right now, but he's definitely out. JoJo Doman, abdomen injury, limited. He's a rookie. Linebacker, Ryan Kelly, knee, limited. That's their center. And they actually like their rookie center probably a little bit better than they do Ryan Kelly at this point. So don't even know if that's a big deal anymore like it used to be. Kiki Kuti, concussion, full. So that's another speedster receiver that may get back in the mix this week. Zaire Franklin, shoulder, full. That's one of their linebackers. He plays well for them. Same for the next guy. And this is the biggest of all these injuries. All of the rest of these injuries, you can pretty much throw those out the window. Who cares? This is the one that pisses me off because everybody's been getting no Shaq Leonard, and he's going to come back and play against us. He's the heart and soul, not just of that defense, of that team. He's a walking turnover, right? Waiting to happen. He forces turnovers like no other defender in this league. All right. He's the equivalent of what Ed Reed used to be, or Troy Polamalu. He's that dynamic defensively, whether he's punching the football out or he's picking the pass off over the middle of the football field. This dude is so dangerous, and everybody's been missing this kid, and now we got to come back and get him full strength. That sucks, but what can you do? Luke Rhodes, shoulder, full participant. So more likely than not, all the full participants are going to play in the game. But again, we will see. So, so let's talk about Jack Del Rio. He talked about the defense, talked about some of the guys that have been playing well. They asked him about Jamin Davis. They asked him about Rashad Wildgoose. You really didn't get much out of Jack, as you often don't. Jack's not looking to give you a lot of information on anybody or the way that this defense is playing. So, again, it was a rough go of it in terms of getting Jack to give you any information, which I don't really have a problem with. Some people do have a problem with that. I don't. But he did talk about Chase Young, and he said that Chase is getting close, but he did not practice today, that he still has to meet with Dr. Andrews, which we thought this was supposed to be on Sunday. Now they're talking about it was today. And so still, it just seems a little fishy, but I don't think he's going to play this week. But he did say that, they can't wait to get him back, that's going to add a ton of, a ton of energy to the defense. And they can't wait to have him back. And I can't wait to see him back on the football field. I really don't even know what to expect from him, to be honest with you, but my expectations aren't very high. I know that Chase Young back from an injury is better than James Smith-Williams and Casey Toohill combined. And those guys, no disrespect to those guys. They've played well in his absence. Same with F.A. Obata. Love what we've gotten out of those guys. I feel even better about our defensive end depth with how those guys have played in his absence. But there's no, mistaking that getting the number 2 overall pick from the 2020 NFL draft back on your defense is going to change the way teams prepare for you and how you are able to then play. So I'm looking forward to seeing the defense with Chase back in the saddle. So is Jack Del Rio, but it's not going to be, I don't think, this week. But again, we will see. Speaking of the roster, we signed, before I forget, we signed a corner to the practice squad because we elevated Danny Johnson from the practice squad to the active roster. We're getting pretty thin out there at the cornerback position, as we all know. We already talked about this being a problem way back when the season started. If we had any injuries, and William Jackson III is quote unquote injured, that we were going to have some issues potentially with depth. So then we went out and got a couple of young corners. One of them in Castro Fields, he's hurt and on IR. So Danny Johnson comes up. We signed another guy. Don't ask me what his name is. Don't ask me where he came from or anything. Never heard of him, but got another young guy on the practice squad. So we heard from Taylor Heinicke, and Heinicke talked about a number of things. I'm pretty sure you guys have seen the title of my stream tonight, and I got that from Taylor Heinicke essentially because reportedly he buys a pair of Jordans for every team in their team colors for every team that he beats in the league. So he bought a Packers colored, I think they were, if I'm not mistaken, they look like some sevens, 6s or 7s. I'm trying to remember them, but they were green and yellow, of course, with a little bit of black, but they were primarily green and yellow. And apparently he told the media that he buys a pair of Jordans to match the team that he just beat. If, that's the first time he's beaten that team. So hasn't played the Indianapolis Colts in his career, has a chance to add a pair of potentially new Jordans next week, some true blues, I would hope. And we'll see. But, on the field, he talked about his play and, I just want to say this for some of you out there, because Heinicke fever is running rampant right now. And I want to offer you the opportunity to hear my voice as a voice of reason. You don't have to agree with me. Just hear me out. Okay. Taylor Heinicke is what we thought he was going to be for us. All right. Nothing's changed. I know some of you want to believe that giving him another opportunity to be the starter. Now we've got more weapons, which all of this is true, that he should be much better and that he can be the long-term solution. Some of you actually believe this. Okay. I'm here to tell you that Taylor Heinicke is who we thought he was. Okay. He is the same guy from last year, more weapons. Okay. better supporting cast around him. Absolutely. And that's going to help him. You know, being able to turn around and hand the ball off to a spry Antonio Gibson and Brian Robinson is going to do wonders for him. Being able to throw to Curtis Samuel, as we saw on Sunday, going to do wonders for him. Hand it off to him even. Throwing the ball to Terry. He experienced that last year. That's a godsend. You know, throwing the ball to Amani Rodgers and eventually getting Logan Thomas back, who he really didn't have the pleasure of playing with all that much last season. But getting guys like, yeah, it's going to help him. But at his core, he's still the same guy. Okay? We fell for the banana in the tailpipe last year after the Giants game, after the Falcons game. And the beauty of those two performances were they were in such close proximity that we thought, man, we may have something here. He got the call in the first quarter of that Chargers game, and he didn't play poorly. He didn't really make a big difference in that game, but he didn't play poorly. So that next week you get that short week against the Giants and he explodes. And we're talking legend of Heinicke, and we're talking about ultra. I think the legend of Heinicke was spawned from the Giants game, and then the ultra was spawned from the Falcons game. You had the Buffalo debacle in between those two. Keep in mind, but that was a kamikaze mission. I dubbed that a kamikaze mission. No matter who was at quarterback, we were going into Buffalo and we were going to get our asses handed to us. It was just by how much and how bad. Josh Allen had on a ball cap like it was a preseason game with about 8 minutes left in the fourth quarter. It was that kind of day. But the next week, we go to Atlanta. He plays in front of his family and he lights it up again, leads us to a come-from-behind victory in epic fashion. And here we go. We fall back in love with him. And we're thinking this could be the guy. And then there's the Saints game. Then there's the Chiefs game. And that's when I had my come to Jesus moment. Okay, I get it now. I understand what this is. Okay, I understand the limitations. I know what we're dealing with here. And I'm good with this. I understand what I'm getting myself into. As long as I know what I'm getting myself into, I'm fine. Some of you are falling back into that trap again of thinking that this time's going to be different. The only thing I can offer you is that this is a different season and these are different opponents and this is a different roster. But the fact remains that Taylor Heinicke is who he is. Okay? Don't be fooled, okay, by this performance or that performance. If he does it consistently without throwing up all over himself in a game or two, then maybe he can start to change the narrative. But in that game against the Packers, we got, just like in week 1 against Jacksonville, we got the full Carson Wentz experience in that game. And I think we would have signed up for more of that. Less interceptions, but, more of the same, big plays, maybe a mistake or a missed receiver here or there. But all in all, played well enough to give us a chance to win. We didn't see that guy really after the Detroit second half. Haven't seen that guy. Yeah, bits and pieces of it in the Tennessee game, but not enough. We got the full Taylor Heinicke experience in the game on Sunday versus the Packers. You got a pick six. You got a couple of moon balls that hung in the air forever, including the pass that Terry caught on that 3rd and 11 to pretty much seal the deal. You got a great throw from him down the sideline to Terry McLaurin. You got a gorgeous throw in the back of the end zone with feathery soft drugstore cotton touch to Antonio Gibson for the touchdown. You got him eluding rushers, extending plays with his legs, making things happen. You also got him hit and the ball came out. Okay. You also had him throw behind receivers multiple times. You got the full experience. Understand that all of that is encapsulated in the Taylor Heinicke package. You can't separate one from the other. It's all a part of the package. And you just don't know when you open the Taylor Heinicke package this week, what's going to be inside. You may get a mixture of both, as we did in week 7. You may get all of the second half Heinicke that we got, which we've gotten that in games. right? The Giants game, except for the pick that he threw to James Bradbury at the very end. But even after that, he showed resiliency, took us down the field, got us in the field goal range. Or you could get the Atlanta game, or you could get the Carolina game, or you could get the Tampa game. That if you open the package and you get that, it's going to be a great day. Or as a wise man once said, today was a good day. It's going to be a good day. You get that. But you could also open the package up, and it could be the Saints game, or it could be the Chiefs game, or it could be the Broncos game, or it could be the Cowboys game. Pick one from last year. They were both egregious. You don't know. Just understand that while all these parts around him have changed, offensive line, better weapons, dynamic backfield, schedules changed. There's a lot that's changed around him. The one thing that remains the same is Taylor Heinicke. So just understand that. But he met with the media today, and again, how can you not love the guy? I find myself rooting for him like few players I've rooted for at that particular position on this team. And it's so easy to root for him. One, I can't help but state this over and over again. He's a Monarch. So just by virtue of that, by him, being a alma mater guy, I gotta root for him in his success. But then you see the cheesy smile. His smile is so cheesy, man. And it's almost a sneaky smile when he smiles. You're like, you're up to something. But he's a good dude. And when he's like Terry in the sense that when he talks, when he speaks, he gives you thoughtful answers. They're not just bullshit, cut and paste type answers that you get from most guys that sit behind the mic with a bunch of cliches and, talking in circles. You ask him a question, he's going to give you a real answer. I'll give you an example. They asked him about the playbook. It is, some of the bootlegs and the mobility that we saw. Is that a byproduct of Scott Turner calling plays specifically for him, or is that just his game? And he's like, it's both, right? Like, yeah, I've been in Turner's offense for 6 years, So obviously I'm a lot further along in what he's looking for, what he's trying to gain and accomplish out of each and every single play call. And so, yeah, there's a little bit of that, but also that's a part of my game. But then I thought the question that I really would just found myself hanging on every single word was when they asked him, how are defenses playing you differently this year versus when you got an opportunity last year? And he said, and usually guys don't get into specifics. They don't want to tell you anything. Look, the defenses are what they are. He's not telling anybody anything that they didn't already know. You can watch the film and see this. So it's not like he's divulging any kind of top secret information. But he said, when I first came in the league, guys were playing me like I was Tom Brady or one of these immobile quarterbacks, one of these guys that just stays in the pocket. Generally, you get 2 high safeties because you don't have to worry about the quarterback running. If you can stop the run with the guys in the box, you don't bring that extra safety down. You've seen that a lot more in the NFL today, where teams are trying to stay back with both of their safeties because they don't want to give up big plays, because the prevailing thought is teams want the big play and they're impatient and they're unwilling to take the check down and matriculate the ball down the field. It's hard to go 12 plays, 83 yards, 6.5 minutes like we did against the Packers for our first touchdown of the game on Sunday, without a mistake happening, without a batted ball, without a sack, without a holding penalty, without something going awry that's going to throw you off of your course of trying to convert the first down and keep the drive alive. So teams are trying to play back. And he said, when I first came in, that's how they were playing me. Like I was Brady or Mac Jones or, one of these quarterbacks that couldn't really run. And so what I've noticed, since I've gotten a rap now that teams know that I have mobility and I can use my legs, they're bringing that safety down, or they're giving me a spy. They're assigning me a linebacker. And he gave an example of a play. He said the play with Curtis Samuel on that 3rd down and 11. they had number 7, and number 7 is the rookie linebacker, Quay from Georgia that they drafted. Tons of speed, sideline to sideline. And they said, enough of this Heinicke scrambling and extending shit. Quay, you got him as a spy on this third down. If he goes anywhere, light his ass up. I got you, boss. So he's like, I'm looking at the defense and I see 7 shadowing me. So I know I really can't run this thing if I want to. So he's like, I got to find a playmaker and get him the football. And that's when he found Curtis. It wasn't a ton of separation. That was a great ball. That was one of his best balls of the day. Obviously, the Terry touchdown and the Antonio Gibson touchdown passes have something to say about that. But that Gibson ball, or excuse me, that Curtis Samuel ball on that third down, that was a thing of beauty. And that thing had some sauce to go on it. I mean, that had some hot sauce to go on it. Absolutely, some sauce to go. He put a couple in the bag. And let me get a couple barbecues. He dropped them things right in the bag. That had some sauce on it. And Curtis had to go up and pluck that thing out of the air. So he talked about the different things that he sees now. Teams bringing robbers down, to kind of spy him a bit, just changing up the looks because they can't treat him like he's some basic quarterback anymore. They got to actually account for his athleticism. So, again, love Taylor Heinicke. He talked about the energy that he brings to the table. And he said, a lot of times guys try to match my energy. And, another answer that I loved was he talked about the excitement that he saw from Terry. They had asked him about Terry going back to Indy. That's his old stomping grounds, where he's from. This is Terry's first time playing in his hometown. So you'd like to see Terry eat this week and eat in a major way. Clearly, Heinicke was not privy to this information because when they asked him, he was like kind of blown away. Like, oh, I didn't know Terry was going back home for the first time. I think he knew Terry was from Indy. I don't think he knew Terry hadn't played in Indy in the NFL. That said, he said, I looked at my phone after the game. He said, I knew Terry was pretty animated on the field because he walked up to me, he pushed me, and he was, really excited. And I'd never seen that side of Terry before. He said, Terry's a pretty reserved dude, kind of keeps it even keel. So he was pretty fired up. And we saw that a lot of us in the MOBB in particular, we were hyped when we saw how hyped Terry was, because again, as Taylor Heinicke outlined, that's not Terry McLaurin's demeanor. The only time you get that kind of fire out of Terry is if the other dude is yapping. And Jair Alexander was giving him something in his ear, which is why Terry, after every big catch, got up and flexed on him, including the last one. I was like, Terry, don't get a penalty here, okay? Be smart. Terry got in his face, though, and gave him a little something, gave him one of these, and then Jair pushed him, and Terry just ran away laughing, right? But even after the touchdown, Terry gets up. Terry's at least 3 yards away from him, and Terry just gets up and stares at him like this, and talking and saying something. So I'm like, yeah, Jair had to be. Remember, the last time we saw that kind of emotion from Terry with a specific player, it was Trayvon Diggs back in 2020 when he caught the deep ball on him. Remember, Trayvon Diggs was yapping. And in the very next play, Terry got him for the 39-yard touchdown. Smoked him too. So we've seen Terry do that occasionally, but it's normally someone has to bring that out of him. But I'm not sure that it was just Jair Alexander. I think it was also, Taylor Heinicke. And, Terry's waiting to explode, man. He just wants some consistency at the quarterback position so he can do his thing. Heinicke's honestly given him the most consistency he's had here in Washington since he's gotten here, which is sad, but it's the truth. So I think he said it after the game. That's the best rep Taylor and myself have had since I've gotten here, and since Taylor's gotten here, rather. And clearly it was a gorgeous throw, but he said he went back and looked at his phone after the game because he knew about Terry being fired up, but he didn't know about the Terry taking his helmet off and yelling on the sidelines and all of that stuff. And he's like, Terry was really pumped. And I didn't know just how fired up he was because Taylor was doing his own mean mugging and putting his hat on sideways and shit. He was fired up on the sidelines as well. So he didn't know how fired up Terry was. And he was really excited about that. He's like, let's try to get him fired up like that again in Indy, in his hometown, and have him have a big game. So I think his energy is infectious, that being Taylor Heinicke. And, they asked him, is Chase Young going to have a similar effect when he comes back? And Heinicke's like, hell yeah. Chase, we all know he's the ultimate hype man. We knew this when he was on the field. I can only imagine Chase Young, the cheerleader on the sidelines. He's got to be absolutely on 12 on a scale of 1 to 10. He's got to be on 12 as a guy that's not playing. He's got all this pent up energy. If a guy makes a play, I'm pretty sure Chase Young's one of the first guys, over there congratulating him. If a guy's talking shit right by the sideline, I'm pretty sure Chase Young's giving him an earful. So I imagine when he comes back, similar to when Brian Robinson came back and the rest of the team was kind of pumped for that first game against Tennessee. I would imagine it. And when Logan Thomas came back to practice, they gave him a, standing ovation. I imagine it'll be something similar for Chase when he finally gets back on the field. But in any event, that is the gist of what Taylor Heinicke had to say. So let's now go to our next segment. And it's our first look at the Indianapolis Colts. Don't make the mistake of thinking that this game is a layup or any kind of a gimme. First of all, understand that we are who we are. Okay. Understand who we are. Know thyself. All right. We don't blow anybody out. When's the last time we had a blowout victory? Okay. We don't. Even the comfortable victories are uncomfortable. We beat the Tampa Bay Buccaneers by 10. That's probably the largest margin of victory we've had in the last 2 seasons, was beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers last year, 29-19. Even then, we weren't comfortable enough with sending out our extra point team to kick the extra point. Instead, we took a knee because we weren't comfortable with just doing the traditional thing. And it was the smart decision to make, and it was the right move to make. And you have to also understand the context of the season that we had up until that point. We had a lot of kicks blocked last year. Okay. We had a lot of issues with the field goal kickers. So Ron was right to do that. But even in a comfortable win, which it really wasn't comfortable, if you recall, we needed that like 11-minute marathon of a drive capped with the touchdown pass, or a touchdown run rather, to put the game away. We won by 10, which is our biggest margin of victory in the last 2 years. We don't blow anyone out. We don't win comfortably. That's not what we do. We're not relaxing with 3 minutes and 22 seconds left in the ball game. That's just not how we are wired. As fans, we're always on the edge of our seat if we're in a position to win. So don't think for 1 second that we're going to go to Indianapolis and we're going to steamroll a team rolling out a brand new quarterback. That's not happening. And just so you know, this was something that was brought up to Taylor Heinicke during his presser. People are comparing other quarterbacks with grit and toughness, but not all of the measurables that you would like to Taylor Heinicke. Like, a lot of people are looking at Sam Ehlinger, and Sam Ehlinger he's similar to Heinicke in that he's a tough SOB, doesn't have necessarily the biggest arm, but Sam Ehlinger played at Texas. It's not like he played at ODU, okay? And ODU now is different than what ODU was when Taylor Heinicke played. ODU was not a, Division I school when Heinicke was playing there. They were a Division III school when Heinicke was there. So it's totally different. Or they were a 1-2A, school. But it's totally different now. So it's not the same. This guy played at a major Power 5 program and was damn good at Texas. So, let's not treat Sam Ehlinger like he's some kind of charity case from, South Dakota State. That's not what he is. I remember doing my scouting report on him and talking about really liking him in that 2020 draft. Was it 2021 draft? He was the draft with Mac Jones and Trey Lance and all of those guys, Zach Wilson and Trevor Lawrence in that 2021 draft. I really liked Sam Ehlinger, more so than most. So don't get it twisted. He's very athletic, big as a damn, Mack truck. He's physical, finishes runs, but he can make the throws and he will not back down. This is not going to be a walk in the park. Okay. Sam Ehlinger will be game. And if we come in there with anything less than our best effort, we will leave Lucas Oil Stadium with a loss. Understand that. And oh, by the way, they still do have Jonathan Taylor. This has not been a typical Jonathan Taylor season, but let's not be the team that tries to get him back on track. Okay. If he's struggling, let him stay struggling. The Packers came into the game last week struggling. They left struggling. Let's keep it that way. That offense in Indy is struggling. Let's keep them struggling. Jonathan Taylor is struggling. Let's keep him struggling. I'll tell you this. They're getting their leader back, as I mentioned, not just of the defense, but of that team in Shaq Leonard. Never, ever trust a man with two first names. All right. He's going to change the mindset of that football team. He's not going to allow them to go out there and just be going through the motions. That's a really good Indianapolis Colts defense. Say what you want about the Colts offense. They've been tragically bad this season. Say what you want. It doesn't apply to their defense. Okay. They've been a good unit this season. They gave up 19 points to the Titans this past weekend. We should know the Titans stink. We played them. 7 of those points came via a pick six thrown by Matt Ryan. So, in essence, the Colts defense gave up 12 points last week to the Tennessee Titans. The week before that, they gave up a little something to Jacksonville. Jacksonville really hurt them on the ground with some big runs. But the week before that, and I get it, it's Denver, and Denver stinks. They gave up 9 points to the Denver Broncos. I don't give a shit how bad an NFL team is struggling. It's hard to hold an NFL team to under double-digit points. It's just tough because you can get lucky. All it takes is a muffed punt deep in your own territory, and that's at worst a field goal. One big play, and you can give up a touchdown. It's not hard to give up 10 points in an NFL game. It's hard to hold a team to under 10 points. They did that. And not only did they do that in regulation, they played bonus football and kept them from scoring any more points as well. And you can go through some of their games early in the season. They held that high-powered Kansas City Chiefs offense to 20 points, I believe it was, 17, something like that. Beat them. Like, this is not a garbage Colts defense. So rewire your brain. If you're one of these fans that's thinking, oh, we got a great chance to get back to 500. You're right about that. But if you're thinking, not only do we have a great chance, I expect us to get back to 500. Pump your brakes and drive slow, homie. Drive slow. Understand that these Colts will not lay down for us. And if memory serves me correct, the Indianapolis Colts have been a thorn in our side. They've been a pain in our ass. I can't tell you the last time we went to Indy and won. We don't do that. The same thing I said about Detroit. Hasn't been really good to the good guys. And they came to FedEx. I remember this. The last time we played them in 2018, we went to Arizona. This was the first year of Alex Smith. We went to Arizona. We stomped a mud hole in the Cardinals. We beat them. That was a comfortable win. That was a comfortable ass whooping we gave the Arizona Cardinals. Okay? I think they had Sam Bradford back in those days. Beat the brakes off of them. Adrian Peterson had a nice day. First game as a Washington Redskin. I'm thinking, oh, yeah, we're coming back home. We got the Colts. Yeah, they stink. FedEx is going to be rocking. The place was a ghost town, okay? There was nobody in the building. And the Colts came in there. Darius Leonard, as a rookie, had like 18 tackles, forced a fumble, and they come in there and they beat our ass. And I'm looking around like, what the hell just happened? Did we just lose to the Indianapolis Colts? You're damn right you just did. I don't even know if that team featured Andrew Luck or not. I can't remember. Maybe it did, maybe it didn't. I just know I thought we were going to beat them and we didn't. So that's the last time we played them. Don't sleep on this Colts team. That's all I'm trying to get you to understand today. We'll get into the specifics tomorrow as we really start to hone in on the Indianapolis Colts, go behind enemy lines, all that good stuff. Don't sleep on the Indianapolis Colts. I'll just say that. All right. So let's go to our final segment of the show where you guys get to take over. Social media maneuvers. I'm a midnight marauder. Looking forward to seeing what you guys have to say. So we'll get to the comment section and chop it up. I want to acknowledge this before I get to the comments on the show. I read a lot of your comments regarding the uniforms. I had asked you guys how you were feeling after the win on Monday, on Victory Monday show. I asked you guys how you were feeling about the uniforms because I was feeling a lot better about them, watching them on Monday. I think the color contrast with the Packers with their white uniforms, it felt right, I'm starting to, the uniforms are starting to grow on me. I've always liked the helmets. Wasn't the biggest fan of the uniforms. They're starting to grow on me. The white ones are growing on me a little bit. We're going to be wearing those more likely than not. Indy usually wears their home blues. And it's probably going to look so clean because it's inside of a. I will say Lucas Oil Stadium it gives the appearance on TV of a dirty look because they've got that that turf is kind of like not the turf looks damn near black. It's the darker turf. And then the stadium is usually open. So there's like a shadow cast on the field. I'm hoping it'll be closed because it's a later game in the afternoon, but they may have it open. And so it could be funky at Lucas Oil Stadium, but it's a retractable roof. But it should look good on that field, on that surface against the clash of that Colts dark blue. Should be pretty dope. A lot of you said you're really feeling the uniforms. They're starting to grow on you as well. Or some of you were always feeling them. I know some of you said not really feeling the black ones. Give me Steelers vibes. I understand that. They do give me Steelers vibes a little bit. Although I don't know if the Steelers have ever worn black on black. When they wear black on black, it's usually with a different type of jersey. It's not their traditional black jersey, white, numbers. It's usually black jersey, black numbers with yellow outline and stitching, and it's a different look. But they usually wear their yellow pants. We're black on black, but I get it. The color scheme is pretty similar with the Steelers. So I know some of you said that you weren't really feeling that, but some of you love those uniforms. I've yet to see the burgundy on burgundy combo. I would like to see that. The white tops, burgundy bottoms is cool, but I like the white on white. I actually really like that, but we haven't worn that during the season. We've only worn that in the preseason, but I think I like the different color combinations. I think I'm actually feeling them, and a lot of you seem to be feeling the same way as well. I knew it would take a little while for everyone to kind of get acclimated to the different look, but I thought eventually everyone would come around. I don't know why everyone keeps trying to force a nickname on this team. We're the Commanders. I don't know if there's a way to shorten it. I once called the team the Manders. I only did that because I ran out of space in my title. And so, but I saw a tweet from KD. He's a massive Washington Redskins football team, Commanders fan, grew up in the DMV, and he called them the Manders. So I don't know if that's a thing or not. I'm just going to continue to call them the Commanders. There's really no way to shorten them. Manders is the only way to shorten it, and I don't think anybody's really feeling that. So anyway, I digress. Let's get to the comment section. William Edwards starts us off tonight. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, William Edwards, writes, Washington's first week, not bottom of Nick's tiers. It's amazing that I'm looking at some of these, and I'm generally not a big, power ranking guy because it's opinion based and driven, and to each its own. Like one of them I saw, we were 28th, and I'm like, are you serious? 3-4 with all these 3-4 teams, and you're telling me we're one of the worst 3-4 teams? There's a ton of them. Practically all of the NFC is 3-4. You're trying to tell me that because there's no way Carolina or Houston are ahead of us, right? So that's two teams right there. And then I don't think you could put Jacksonville ahead of us. We beat them, and their record is worse than us. Detroit sucks. They did beat us, but they suck, and they've only won one game. All four of those teams have to be 32nd, 31st, 30th, and 29th. So you're trying to tell me after those 4 teams, we're the first team that is after the worst of the worst in the league. Give me a break. That's why I don't look at them. But I get sent them. I can't avoid them. They end up on my timeline. But I did see one that had us 23rd. That one makes sense to me. There were still some teams in front of us that I thought was a bit disrespectful, but we earned that disrespect. That disrespect wasn't unwarranted. We deserve that. So 23 is right about where we probably should be. 28's a little harsh. I try to stay away from power rankings, but yeah. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My God, take command for life writes, if we win against the Colts, I'm on the hype train. Look, I know a lot of you guys want something to believe in. You just want something to believe in, as do I. My goal every year with this team, because they've set the bar so low, this year wasn't the case. Like I was all in. You guys know that. But usually for me, the bar is just get me to November playing meaningful football. Anything after that is house money. It's icing on the cake. It's a cherry on top. Just get me to November playing meaningful football, and I'm grateful. We were this close to not getting that done this year. And this year wasn't one of those years that I said that. I expected meaningful football for all 4 months, September, October, November, into December. I expected that because I expected to be good this season. We still have a chance to be good this season, but it didn't start off that way. One more win gets you back to 500. As much as I want to be excited about this team and where they're heading and what they could potentially be, it's going to take more than just getting back to 500. We've been to 500 before. You guys have recalled, we've been to 500. We were at 500 last year. We didn't quite make it to 500 the year prior in 2020. We fell short by 1 game. We got to 6-7 after being 2-7. We ran off 4 straight, and then we lost to the Seattle Seahawks, and so that killed our momentum that year. But last year we got to 6-6. We got to 500, and then what did we do? The year before that we got to 6-7, and then what did we do? Okay, so 4-4 is cool. But, and again, I don't want to overstep my boundaries. I don't want to look past the Colts. You didn't look past the Colts, so I won't either. If we win this game, I'm going to be really excited about the prospects of being back to 500, because you can start talking reckless at 500. I don't want to hear anything. I don't want to hear the P word being used. I don't want to hear anybody talking about chasing after the division. I don't want to hear about anybody talking about being anything other than a 7th and final wild card at 500. You pass 500 though, and now you can start talking reckless. Again, the division may be out of reach. I don't know. We'll see what happens with the Eagles. I just don't anticipate them losing enough games to give anybody else a chance, other than the Giants and the Cowboys, who are still within striking distance. We're too far away with 4 losses already. I don't know if the Eagles lose 4 games the entire season because of how their schedule is set up, unless the division does work to them. So Dallas has them one more time in Dallas. The Giants have them twice. We've got them one more time. Unless the division goes to work on the Eagles, I don't see the likes of the Steelers or the Texans and teams like that beating them. I don't see the Indianapolis Colts or the Tennessee Titans beating them. They're set up to win 13 games. So I don't think the division is within reach, but the 5th wild card is the 5th seed, the number 1 wild card. Why not? Why can't we catch the Giants or Dallas? Those are the 2 teams ahead of us. Why can't we catch those 2 teams? Absolutely, we could. So you can start. I won't talk reckless until we eclipse 500, right? We surpass it. But what it will do is it would embolden me to feel confident that we can beat teams that we belong, that we should be in these conversations, that we don't deserve to be disrespected. But again, got to get there first. William Edwards, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. William Edwards writes, I was mad excited to not be eliminated right now. You're not lying. I mean, we were this close. Literally, we're a Darnell Mooney clean catch. This close from being irrelevant this season. You lose to the Bears on Thursday night. You drop to 1-5. We're done. Go ahead. We would talk amongst ourselves, and we would go to the doctors, and we would have said, all right, we've made the decision. You can pull the plug on the season. But we didn't have to make that decision. We didn't have to have that conversation or that talk because we got it done, and now we've parlayed that into a second straight victory, and now we're looking to make it a third. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. Michael White writes, with the 2 back-to-back wins, Lou, are you back in the whip? I don't think it's fair to Ron for me to get back in the whip right now. All right. I should have never gotten out until I initially said I wasn't going to get out unless we lost to both Tennessee and the Bears. I was emotional after the Titans lost, and I got out, and I don't think it's fair to Ron for me to get back into the whip at this current time. So I'm going to continue walking back towards Ashburn. I deserve to have to walk. I don't need a lift. I don't need anybody giving me a ride. I got out of the whip, so I deserve what's coming to me. But I was really emotional after that loss. That one hurt. That one stung. So I'm not back in the whip. If Ron decides he can find it in his heart to turn around and come scoop me, so be it. But right now, Ron's not turning around to come get me, and he shouldn't. No, I'm not back in the whip yet. And I still need to see more from the team, to be honest with you. But they have shown signs of improving. But we're still a long way from a product that I think we can be proud of, in the sense of we go into every game expecting not to just show up and have a chance, but show up and we should win this. We should win this game. We're better than them. We're not there yet, but I think we're trending in that direction to being instilled with that type of confidence. That's the type of time that I was on when the season started. I was talking my shit up until that Detroit game in week 2, after that first, and even after that second half, I still was smelling myself like shit. We spotted them a half. We spotted them 22, tried to hawk them. Defense couldn't get their shit together, but I still rock with this offense. We're going to be dangerous this year. It wasn't until that week 3 game where I'm like, uh-oh, what in the hell was that? That was followed by the stinker, like overprotecting him in Dallas, him being Carson Wentz, offensive line still having some issues. Yeah, that's when I was like, okay, damn, this offense isn't going to be what I thought it was going to be because we've got issues. But now the offensive line looks like it's been stabilized to a degree. The run game looks like it's ready to explode. And we still haven't gotten all our stuff back in terms of pass catchers. Still waiting on Jahan, still waiting on Logan Thomas, still waiting on De'Ami Brown to get back. But eventually, we'll get all our stuff back. And the hope is that when we do, we'll have the right quarterback in there, whomever it is. We all think it's Heinicke, but whomever that guy is, hopefully they'll make the right decision when that time comes. But I'm not back in the whip yet. Andrew Kim, stand up. You are officially in the building as the newest member of the MOBB. So glad to have you on board. Mob, y'all know what to do. Show Andrew some love. Welcome him with open arms. I'm not sure if this is my guy, Andrew Kim, of Baltimore Ravens fan ilk. But nonetheless, whether you are or you aren't, you're a part of the family now. Welcome aboard. And welcome to the MOBB. Welcome to the squad, Andrew Kim. Michael White, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, Do you think 7-10 makes the playoffs in the NFC? No, I don't. So you already see where the 5th and 6th seed are trending. Our division is going to kill any chance of 7-10 making the playoffs. Here's why. Because in our division alone, you're going to have a division winner. And whomever that is, iron sharpens iron. This is the shit that I was talking about before the season started that I wanted to be a part of, which is why it's killing me that right now we're not currently a part of this discussion, is because somebody's going to win this division with 12 or 13 wins. Like, you're not going to be able to win the division this year at 10-7. You don't have to win 12 or 13 games to win the NFC East this year with the way shit's shaping up right now. And I told you, because of the schedule, that's how it was going to be this year. But then in the pursuit of winning the division, somebody's not going to win it. And in this case, it might be 2 teams that don't win it. And Philadelphia could win the division at 13-4. And then Dallas could come in second at 12-5. And the Giants could come in second or third at 11-6. Right? Like that realistically could happen, or 10-7. Or vice versa. The Giants come in at second at 12-5. Dallas comes in at 11-6 or 10-7. And both of those are your 5th and 6th wild card, spots. And then 7, you look around the rest of the conference, understand that it's Brady, it's still Matthew Stafford in the Rams, it's still Aaron Rodgers. Like, don't discount that one of these dudes, or one of these teams rather, gets hot, turns their shit around and gets their shit together. Has a Tom Brady-led team ever been under 500? Ever? Healthy Tom Brady, ever? I can't recall one time Tom Brady's had a team finish 8-8, let alone 7-10. The Bucs are going to either win that division, and if they do, then you don't have to worry about Tampa Bay. And I think they're still the class of that division. But they're only getting one team in the playoffs from that division, so it's more likely than not it will be Tampa. So I'm not worried about the Buccaneers. The Packers could stink this year because we've seen Aaron Rodgers-led teams not have good seasons. Now, he's been banged up, but he's banged up now. I could see them being 7-10. Same with the Rams. I could see them being Chiefs this year. But somebody is going to end up winning at a bare minimum 8 games, probably 9, whether it's Arizona, whether it's San Francisco with Christian McCaffrey, whether it's Green Bay, if they can't catch Minnesota in that division. Somebody's going to end up being better. All right. Seattle, if they don't win the division, but they keep playing the way that they're playing, Seattle's already 4-3. They just got to win 3 more games to get to 7. There's no way 7-10 makes the playoffs in the NFC. For as bad as the conference is right now, there are a lot of teams hovering around that 3-4 mark. You're 4 wins away from 7. There's a lot of football left to be played. I can't imagine this conference being as top heavy as it is with this division and then the division winners. I can't imagine it goes from the division winners with their, Philadelphia, Dallas, Giants, whomever wins this division. Minnesota is a good team right now. Tampa Bay, I think they're going to ultimately get their shit together. And so I think they'll ultimately be 10-win team or so. And then whoever comes out of the West, and it could be San Francisco. I still can't believe Seattle is leading that division right now, but who knows? Maybe they surprise everyone and they'll be one of those surprise playoff teams this year. We'll see what happens. Somebody's going to get their act together in the NFC West, but I can't imagine. I think 9 is the magic number. I don't think that last division or last wild card is a double-digit win team in the NFC right now, but I don't think it's under 500 either. So I don't think 7 or 8 wins gets it done. I think it's going to be a 9-win team that makes it. But again, we'll see. Stranger things have happened. That's for sure. Who knows? Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who knows writes, my boy Heinicke and Scary Terry going to bring us this dub. I hope that's the case. I truly do. They've got help. That's the beauty of it this time around, is that it doesn't have to be just these two like it was last year, with a sprinkle of Antonio Gibson. There's help. So, Scott Turner, it's his job to make sure that we don't revert back to Heinicke throwing it 37 times. How many times did Heinicke throw? I think he threw it 33 times in the game on Sunday. That's as high as it needs to go. Really, I need that number to be down around 27 pass attempts. Somewhere in that general vicinity. I think 27 to 33 is ideal for Taylor Heinicke. 33 is on the high side, but that's as high as I want it to go. He has to do a good enough job of limiting him from throwing the football more than he needs to. Period. But I do think we can get this dub, but it won't be easy, and it won't be I don't think it's going to be as easy as some of you may think. Thank you for that super chat. Who knows? Buzz Lightyear, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, "Where's Woody? To infinity and beyond." Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Take command for life writes, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Writes, one of my favorite media questions of the year was them asking JDR about Taylor's injury. His answer was priceless. Pure confusion. Absolutely. Again, some of these guys don't get it. And I think that question was asked by one of the media members, and I won't say his name, but I think it was more along the lines of treating Jack like he was filling in for Ron Rivera, because they normally get Ron Rivera on Wednesdays and they're able to ask those questions of Ron Rivera from an injury standpoint. What's the status of Chase Young? These types of things. They were able to ask him about Chase Young because he's the defensive coordinator. Had it been Scott Turner, you couldn't ask him a Chase Young question. He doesn't have the answers. That's not my side of the football. But it just kind of went into that. So it got good to him because they asked about Chase Young. He was able to answer that. So he's like, well, shit, he answered the Chase Young injury question. Let's see if he has any information about Taylor Heinicke. He's like, what? What are you talking about? He practiced today. Like, I don't know. Do I look like the head coach to you? I coach the defense. You got defensive questions? Ask me those. It almost reminded me of Andrew Norwell. Remember his interview remember his press conference from the preseason? Oh my God, it was priceless. So I think it was after like the second preseason game or something like that, or it might have been after a training camp practice. You guys know what I'm talking about. It was hilarious. But they asked him like 3 questions to start about Brian Robinson and the run game. And then they asked him a Carson Wentz question and he snapped. He's like, look, I'm only here to talk about myself. Okay. Like, stop asking me. Like, you asked me 3 straight running back questions. I'm an offensive lineman. Half the time, I don't even see what these guys are doing. Stop asking me questions. And he was giving you answers that you knew were trending towards, hey, somebody's about to get popped off on. Y'all asked me one more dumbass question that has nothing to do with me, Andrew Norwell, and I'm going to snap. And they did, and he snapped. And then that promptly ended the interview because he said, unless y'all got a question about me, then they asked him one question, and that was it. I thought they were trying to head down that road with Jack. Jack was like, what? Taylor Heinicke injury? What does this look? What do I look like to you? So, yeah, that was funny. I'm right there with you. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Take command for life writes, hit the like button so hard it cracks your phone. Yeah, hit the like button. I don't want you cracking any devices, though, but I will take this opportunity to go ahead and encourage you to like, subscribe, and hit that notification bell so you don't miss a thing. Thank you for that. Take command for life. All right. Quagmire, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, we got to score fast like I did last night. Giggity. Hey, go ahead, man. Y'all chill out. Oh man, y'all are ridiculous. Cold pillows. There's no better form of a pillow than a cold one. Stand up. You are the newest member of the MOBB. Mob, you know what to do. Show cold pillows some love. Who doesn't love a cold pillow? Open your arms wide and embrace them like you do that cold pillow at night. Cold pillows, welcome to the squad. So glad to have you, and I look forward to chopping it up with you. All right. Let's see. Got another comment. This one is from, got another new member. Nick Caps, stand up. You are now the newest member of the MOBB. My guy, Nick Caps. Come on in. Mob, you know what to do. Show Nick some love. Welcome him to the MOBB. Show him what it's like to be a member of this fraternity and family. Look forward to chopping it up with you, Nick. Look forward to you being able to consume a lot of this bonus content. Look forward to you chopping it up with us on game days and watching the game with us. Look forward to having you be a part of the squad. Stand up. We in the building. You know what it is. All right. Welcome aboard, Nick Caps. Jeremiah Covington. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy Jeremiah writes, the last time we beat the Colts was in 2002. Wow. I had no idea it was that long ago, Jeremiah. Thank you for that. I believe it to be the case because, as I've mentioned to you, we've had our struggles, our fair share of struggles. And keep in mind, okay, they've gone from Peyton Manning to Andrew Luck. So in that time frame, and if I'm not mistaken, that 2018 game was Andrew Luck. I think that was his last full season in the NFL. So if I'm not mistaken, we got Andrew Luck. So we weren't able to take advantage of that year where Peyton was out and everybody beat up on the Colts. We didn't see them that year. We went from Manning probably in 16 to, wait. I'm pretty sure Andrew Luck was selected in 2012. So we went from 2012, 2016. So it would have been 18, 14, 10, 6, and then 2, right? Every 4 years. So 2002 would have been Peyton Manning. He might have been injured, or I don't know how the hell we managed to beat him. He was still a young player in the league at that time. So we might have caught a break. 06 is prime Peyton Manning. We probably got our asses spanked. 2010 is still prime Manning. We probably got our asses spanked. 14 is prime Andrew Luck. Young Andrew Luck, but as we know, he was a shooting star. So his second year in the league, 2014 would have been his third year in the league. He's a rookie in 2012. That was probably prime Andrew Luck. We probably got our asses spanked. And I remember that game, if I'm not mistaken, that was in Indy, and they put up like a 38 spot on us or something like that, 43 or some shit like that. Then you get to 18, and that's the last year of Luck, and they came to FedEx, and I talked about that game already, and we lost. So it hasn't been, favorable for us. But this is the first time we've probably seen them without Manning or Luck. I like my chances. But 0-2, yikes. It's been a long time. It's time to make that happen. It's time to, end that streak and start a new one. And so no time like the present to knock these damn Colts off. They're looking to get back and try to turn their season around. Not to say that it's going terrible right now, but it's not going the way that they envisioned. Let's not let them jumpstart their season on us. Same thing I said with the Packers. Let's not let them get their shit together against us. Let them figure it out against the Texans or the Jaguars or someone like that. I think they've played the Jags twice already, though. They've played, I think, 5 out of their 6 division games, and then obviously the last one is the final week of the season. So I don't think they get any more AFC South cooking until the end of the season. So let them figure that shit out against somebody else, not us. That's the point. Thank you for that, Jeremiah. Greatly appreciate you. Nick Caps, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB and getting back on board. Who writes, I'm back in the mob. The playbook can open up because TH4 handoff game is better and faster. I don't know if the handoffs are better and faster. I can tell you that play action fake works when you've got a legitimate run game. Play action works when you can marry up your run game with your pass game so that they look eerily similar and you can't tell them apart. Our gun game doesn't inspire, linebackers to come crashing downhill, but I think it looks a little bit different with Heinicke back there because and it's one game, it's a small sample size this season, but as I mentioned, there were a lot of differences in this game, in the run game, and how it was executed than in the previous 6 games with Carson Wentz under center. I'll give you a couple of small examples. Obviously, I've already given you the example of Amani Rodgers at quarterback in the Wildcat, handing it off to Curtis Samuel. There's also a Curtis Samuel jet sweep in there that we handed off to him, and he picks up a big gain. There's also a dual backfield in the gun with Samuel on the left and Robinson on the right, and he fakes it to Robinson, hands it to Curtis Samuel. There's another run, all right, where Gibson starts off to Heinicke's left. He comes around Heinicke in motion, like really just quarterback says, hey, go to the other side, right? So he comes around slowly, and then they snap the ball, and he's just kind of sitting there, standing next to Taylor Heinicke, just waiting and waiting, and then Heinicke just hands it off to him. And then Gibson kind of hop steps, jump cuts to the outside, and then he races to the outside, takes off. And that's the big run where he turns the corner and he cuts it back. And if Adrian Amos doesn't make the tackle, it's a 62-yard touchdown run. It's a thing of beauty. It's one of the best Antonio Gibson runs I've seen. There were variations of different things. I told you about the weak eye run late in the game on a 2nd and 10 on the final possession as we were trying to salt away the game. And we get 7 yards with Alex Arma as the fullback lead blocking. Like there's so many different wrinkles that we saw that we hadn't seen the previous 6 weeks. So I think when you see all of that, it gives the defense something to think about. And now play action fake actually has a chance to work. Let's see. The Great Watubi. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. The Great Watubi writes, beat the Colts, will be discharged from the ICU. Yes, absolutely. Your season is no longer on life support, and you're no longer in what they call critical condition. Okay. So you would be taken from the intensive care unit and you would be moved to a floor where everyone's been stabilized, where you're in stable condition. Okay. We're in critical condition still. We don't know if we're going to make it. This season's going to make it yet. We're still in that limbo phase. When you hear that somebody's in critical condition, you're like, oh my God, prayers up. Hope that person's okay. Hope they make it. That's where we are with our season right now. We're still not out of the woods yet. But our situation is improving. And it's trending in the right direction. And one more win gets you from critical condition to stable condition. They move you from the ICU, put you on the floor where you start to do the things that are leading towards you getting out of the hospital, right? Start to walk around on your own. You go back and forth from the bathroom, maybe take a lap down the hallway. All right. Now we're talking about, hey, you ready for some physical therapy? Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Those are the kind of conversations that this season will be having if we beat the Indianapolis Colts, without a doubt. Chase Young Burner, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, early draft talk, but who's your number one corner in this class? Just watching the Bama game on Saturday, I was salivating at the thought of Juice and Ricks at corner. I haven't watched enough college football corners specifically to make that assertion. I do know that I've watched enough of Joey Porter's kid at Penn State, and he looks legit. So I'm not sure that he's not cornerback one right now, but I'd have to do my homework. I'm right now, like, my biggest problem is when I watch college football, I'm watching it as a casual observer. You know, I'm not necessarily focused in on one particular player, you know, specifically, unless it's the quarterback or receiver or somebody that just pops. I don't, because all of the big teams, they're going to hype up these players. You hear a game, oh, this was a 5-star recruit. This is one of the most sought after guys on this Clemson roster. Like, everybody's that guy. So it's hard to know who's playing well, who's not. That's where you get into the process and you start to learn about these guys, and I get to lay eyes on them, especially corner. Corner is such a hard position because they're out on an island. Half the time you don't even see what they're doing. It's tough. So I'd have to be focusing in on a specific guy, but I know Joey Porter's son looks pretty damn good at Penn State. Dejon Bell, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Dejon Bell writes, knowing how willing our skill position players are to block really makes me proud and speaks so highly of the continuity of the locker room. It really is the biggest reason I didn't give up. This is one thing that we've always known about this collection of men that Ron Rivera and his staff have assembled. They're selfless. We don't have selfish guys on this team. We don't have guys that point the finger on this team. We've been down enough, and there's a large enough sample size to know that these players will not quit and they won't blame the other side of the football, even if it's struggling and a huge part of the reason why we're losing. We've never had it where both units were really good. There's always one unit that's dragging the other. Last year, the offense gave us a better chance to win than the defense for most of the season. The year before that, it was all defense and no offense. And the defense was dragging the offense along. And so this year, it started out where it looked like the offense was going to have to carry us and the defense was going to be trash again. And then the defense stood up and said, hey, we're going to fight. And then the offense said, I ain't got nothing for you right now. Sorry. And so the defense was dragging us along, giving us a chance, and the offense wasn't pulling their weight. Now it looks like we may have a chance. Again, small sample size, we'll see. But we have a chance to now have both sides pulling their own weight, and then special teams chipping in and saying, and I got y'all a little bit. Anything y'all missing, I'll fill in the gaps for y'all. So, and another thing, I didn't mention this, I should have, on watching film. And you don't need film for this. You guys, you watch the game, you could see this yourself. Antonio Gibson is going to add value to the special teams game. I said something on the film breakdown. I'm going to tell you this. You can agree or disagree with me. That's fine. I said this on the film breakdown today. Antonio Gibson is the most talented player on this team. Not on the offense. I didn't say on the offense. Antonio Gibson is the most talented player on this team. I didn't stutter. So I'm not surprised, Dejon, that these players are selfless, that they'll block for the next man. Curtis Samuel is a great example of what you're referring to. I can't tell you how many times he came in ghost motion and ended up being the lead blocker for these running backs and did a fantastic job of doing that. His block was the kick-out block that gave, Gibson another 8 yards or gave Robinson another 4 yards on the carry. We know Terry's going to block. That was his MO and calling card coming out of Ohio State. Special teams guy will block in the run game. We got way more than we bargained for. in the third round when we selected Terry McLaurin. But we knew we were getting a guy that was going to block in the run game. So I'm not shocked by any of that. Miss Perry, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. As always, my girl Condo P writes, hit the like button, sub up, and turn on the notification bell. Don't mind if I do take this opportunity to remind you, this public service announcement is brought to you by Miss P. Like the video, subscribe to the Louie T Network for more great content if you haven't already done so, and hit that notification bell, hit that noti bell so you don't miss out on any of the content coming down the pipeline here on the Louie T Network. Over 460 of you out there, only 100 and some odd likes. We can do so much better. Hit the like button. Let's get that number up over 200. All right. Nick Caps, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Nick Caps writes, I spoke with the doctor, Lou, and he said that this Colts team is going to be the medicine that we need. We about to fix some 40 burgers. I'm gonna tell you right now, that doctor did not prescribe the Indianapolis Colts for a taste of a 40 burger. He did not tell you that. He did not write you a script and say, all right, looking for some offensive explosions, some firepower? All right, take this and come back and see me next week. He didn't give you a script for the Indianapolis Colts. I can assure you of that. There are a lot of teams in this league that are capable of giving up 40 points. This Indianapolis Colts defense, not one of them. So I don't know what doc you're going to see. And there are a lot of street pharmacists out there. And you may have seen one of those guys. They'll sell you anything. Okay. They'll give you anything you're looking for. You didn't go to a clinical physician. He didn't give you a script for this Colts team. Now, Sam Ehlinger, we might be able to get off on him, but I'm not even betting on that. I think he poses a bigger threat to us than Matt Ryan, because at least we knew where to find Matt Ryan. This dude will take off and run on our ass if we're not careful. We saw what Justin Fields did to us. He's not Justin Fields. All right, make no mistake about it. He's more Jalen Hurts than he is Justin Fields in that department, but it's still different. We still were expecting Matt Ryan. We knew where to send the letters to address. If we were trying to send a sack letter to Matt Ryan, we knew exactly where to address that. Yeah, right behind the center, had the mailman deliver it, and we knew we could get him on the ground. That ain't the case for Sam Ehlinger. They're going to move him around. There'll be boots. There'll be different things to take advantage of his athleticism. We got our work cut out for us. We just got to hope that we play up to our standards. And not a lot of film to go off. That makes it tough too. So we'll see. Take command for life. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Who writes, I never got out of the whip, but I stuck my fingers out the window after the Titans game. If we win against the Colts, my window goes up, seatbelt back on. I should have been still in the whip. I told you my initial response after the loss to the Cowboys was I was encouraged by the offense not being as anemic, the run game coming to life a bit, and the defense giving us a chance. I said, you got 2 weeks. Next week, if we don't beat the Titans, which I was so confident, I think that's why it hurt me so much, is I attached hope. I took my hope and I attached expectations to it. And I told you that can be very dangerous. And that's what I did. And that's why I was so disappointed after that game. And then not to mention the manner in which we lost that game. But I said that if we lost to the Titans, I was going to unbuckle my seatbelt. I was going to take the safety belt off. And if we lost to the Bears in conjunction with a loss to the Titans, I was then going to get out of the vehicle. I was so upset. I was so emotional. And I'm usually better than this, but I wasn't. I was so emotional. I was Carl Thomas. I'm emotional. And I couldn't let go of that Titans loss. I just couldn't let go. And so I got out of the whip. And I don't deserve to be back in the whip. So I'm proud of those of you who didn't make a knee-jerk reaction to that Titans loss and didn't get out of the whip. And I think my frustration was less with the players, more with the coaching staff, which is why I got out of the whip. I was already frustrated with the team, but I thought the coaching staff wasn't doing a good enough job of putting them in positions to succeed. But a win against the Colts, to your point, if you're still in the whip, you should feel a lot better. The safety belt should go back on. You should say, hey, Ron, turn that shit up. That victory music you playing, turn that shit up. I like that one. Booker, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB who writes, Lou, are we good enough to make Sam soil himself? We can be. I can tell you this. The defensive line performances that I saw prior to last week against the Titans and the Bears are good enough to make Sam soil himself. If we play like we did against the Packers, Sam will not soil himself. He will have a chance. And a damn good one. So I'll just say this. If we go back to playing like we did against both the Titans and the Bears, where we were absolutely, and even Dallas, I thought we harassed the hell out of Cooper Rush. We harassed the shit out of him. Okay? If we go back to doing that, I feel really good about our chances to make Sam soil himself. If we play like we did against Philadelphia or against Green Bay, I mean, there were times where Aaron Rodgers could have sat down Indian style and did yoga, sitting in a pose and and then got up, dusted himself off, picked the ball up, grabbed the laces, and then delivered the football. I mean, there were times where there was absolutely zero pressure. And there were a lot more times where there was no pressure at all whatsoever than there were times where he had to hurry up, speed up his process, or he got hit on the play. We didn't even hit him. He didn't get sacked once in the game, which I never thought would be the case. Coming off of the two games that we had come off of, and the line play that I saw the week prior against the Jets, there was no way. I would have bet good money that he would have been sacked at least once. I'm thinking more along the lines of 3 times. But they made an emphasis to get it out of his hands quick. But not every pass was a quick throw. I think we can make Sam soil himself, but we'll see. I like our chances. I'll just say that. Barrett Downing, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, BD, writes, hey, Lou, I got out of the trunk in Virginia and finally made it to Arizona, almost to Cali. Much love and respect to you. Yeah, I remember you said you were in the trunk. I'm like, what? Wait, what were you doing in the trunk? So I ain't mad at you for that. For getting out. I ain't glad at you either, but I ain't mad at you. You did what you needed. You felt like you needed to do at that time. Glad to know that you've made it safely to your destination. And hopefully we can come back around if it's convenient and scoop you up, man. I'm not letting you get back in the trunk, though. I'm not letting you do that. If you're getting in the whip, you're getting in the whip, but I can't let you back in the trunk. But as always, man, really do appreciate you. King of the North, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, King of the North, writes, who does Sadiq Charles have to block Sunday? You already know the answer to that. I think you're asking because you know the answer. You just want to hear me say it. But he's got to block DeForest Buckner. That's not a good matchup for us. But Sadiq has been far from a train wreck, but he's had his struggles. He's played against some damn good players. You know, in the Dallas game, to be thrusted in there. We know what Dallas's defensive line has been this season. That's not easy. He's had Jeffrey Simmons, right? Tennessee Titans, week 5. The Bears don't really have a standout anymore at defensive tackle. They used to have a ton of them in Eddie Goldman and Akeem Hicks, but they don't really have that anymore down there. But there are no slouches on that defensive line either. And then, obviously, week 7 against Green Bay, he had his hands full with Kenny Clark. So it's not getting any easier for Sadiq. I think he's handled himself okay. He hasn't been great, but he's been far from what we got out of, Trey Turner and what we got from Andrew Norwell early in the season. So I got to give Sadiq Charles the benefit of the doubt and say that he's fighting his ass off. But Yeah, he's got a tall task in front of him. And I mean that figuratively and literally. He's got a tall task in front of him in DeForest Buckner. Aaron P. Thank you. Hey, stand up, Aaron. God damn it. Stand up. You officially the newest member of the MOBB. Come on in, Aaron. Come on in here. Mob, y'all know what to do. Show Aaron some love. Welcome him to the MOBB. So glad to have you, Aaron P. Looking forward to chopping it up with you. And look forward to hearing from you. All right. I see a name, never seen it before. I look forward to seeing it more often. And now that you're a part of the MOBB, even if you're a lurker, every now and again, just say what up, man. You don't have to super chat. Maybe it's during the game and you just say, hey, what's up, Louie T? Hey, I just want to hear from you from every now and again. You know what I'm saying? Welcome to the family. Welcome to the squad. Aaron Prieto. All right. Let's see. Got another super chat. This is from Joe Rockhead J. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Joe Rockhead J, writes, I don't know about the media, but I have a ton of questions to ask Norwell about him. What were you doing? What were you thinking? Who were you blocking? Well, this was before the avalanche of questions could have been aimed at him, right? This was in the preseason where we didn't know any better. We thought we were getting a solid Eric Flowers replacement at the time. We had no idea what we were getting. And he's stabilized a bit. He's been better recently. So I have to give him credit. He's been better. But we thought we were getting a quality plug-and-play guard. We didn't know we were going to have the issues that we had with him the first month of the season. So, yeah. Those conversations would look a lot different now. But he's not going to be made available to the media anyway. So, don't have to worry about that now. But, yeah. Halo 8586. Stand up. You are now the newest member of the MOBB. So glad to have you on board. Again, there's plenty of space, man. Come on in. This thing is filling up, and I think it's the right time for you guys to come on in. I think this train is getting on the tracks and it's heading in the right direction, and I want you guys to be a part of this. So come on in. Mob, y'all know what to do. Show Halo 8586 some love. Welcome Halo 8586 with open arms. Look forward to chopping it up with you. Look forward to you being in the MOBB mob sessions during the game. At some point, I would love to, and this may just be an off-season thing, but we'll see. But at some point, I would love to rekindle the, once a month get-ups with the mob and just pick you guys' brains, see what you guys got going on, and, just chop it up with you guys. So, that's usually an off-season thing, but who knows? We may be able to get to some of that during the regular season. It's a really busy time, though. But anyway, in any event, just look forward to having you on board, Halo 8586. Welcome to the squad. All right. See, we got another super chat here. This one is from my guy, Jeremiah. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up, Jeremiah. Who writes, sure I didn't miss anything. Okay, yeah, we good. We Gucci. Who writes, we are leading the NFC in passing plays of 25 yards or more. I hope that continues with more touchdowns attached to those plays. I didn't know that. If that is in fact true, and I take your word for it, that is a far cry from where this team was just a year ago, where we were anemic throwing the football down the field. And everything that we did was in a controlled manner. It was it wasn't necessarily dink and dunk, but it was, hey, let's just stay ahead of the sticks. Let's get 3 on first down. Let's get 4 on second down, and let's try to convert 3rd and 3. Wentz, a lot of that is Wentz's impact on this offense. We saw it in the Jaguars game. We saw it in the Lions game. We saw it in the Titans game. And then Heinicke comes in, and we know he knows this offense. I don't think we were expecting the 38-yard touchdown he threw to Terry. Like, I don't think any of us were thinking that when he got into the lineup, but hey, we'll take it, But what we've seen from this offense, and this is what happens when you have playmakers, is that you get explosive plays. You have guys that can do things. I mean, I can't tell you how many times Curtis Samuel has touched a pass or a run and taken the ball and picked up 12 or 13 yards after the catch or after he was handed the ball initially. Like, he's dynamite with it in his hand, right? Terry has gotten better run after catch, and he's still not making anybody miss, but his physicality with the ball in his hands is unlike most receivers in the league. He's just tough to bring down with the football in his hands. He's a load to deal with. Everybody brings something different to the table. We know about Jahan and his ability, which is why we really want to get him back. Same with Diami. We saw that in the Tennessee game on full display. So this offense has a chance. Even Amani Rodgers, the tight end screen, what we saw from him in the game on Sunday against Green Bay, getting back involved. I would like to see him involved more because he's a far cry from John Bates as an athlete, and Logan Thomas for that matter. He's a much better athlete than those guys are. And so when you get into his hands, he's a problem. He could, I'm serious when I say this. Amani Rodgers could be a Darren Waller type. He's a mismatch nightmare. Okay? Like, if he gets coached up and he learns, like, next year, I would love it if he would go to that tight end summit that Travis Kelce and all of those guys put on for those tight ends every year, and George Kittle and all those guys do. I would love for him to be there because he's got a chance to be a Darren Waller type. He's that athletically gifted. He's a problem, man. And he's only going to get more and more comfortable. He's still just scratching the surface, which is why you got to be excited about some of the things that they've done with this roster. And again, I know a lot of you don't like to give Ron and Martin Mayhew and Marty Herney any credit, but you gotta be able to give them credit for the moves that they've made this offseason and even into the season. We criticize them for, and I've already stated this, but we criticize them for the lack of defensive back depth, specifically the cornerback position. Wild Goose is playing well. Say what you want about him. Yep, he missed 3 tackles in like 5 plays. Yep, he played well on Sunday against the Packers again. Okay. I don't know what Castro Fields is going to turn into, but I want to find out. He's a talented kid with a huge amount of upside. Would love to see what that turns into. Sip was not a guy that I was, overly enthused about, but it's a 7th-round pick. What are you going to do? He's been a core special teamer, making plays on special teams week after week. Same can be said, and we knew that about Percy Butler. We were more excited about Percy Butler, the defender, but everyone kept telling us, hey, Percy Butler, the special teams player, you're getting arguably the best special teams player in college football. That's who you're getting in Percy Butler. Okay. Well, we're seeing that now. He's making a play every single week. Him and Sip. Then you got to look at John Ridgeway as a defensive tackle, giving us some quality snaps at nose, especially when we go to that 5-man defensive front. He's a load inside. Love what he's provided us with, especially with the absence of Fedarian Mathis. A lot of you have forgotten about him already. He'll be back next year. So these are all moves that they made, bringing in guys that we didn't expect. But Amani Rodgers was undrafted. And I don't think he would have gotten the opportunities that he got ultimately to make this team had the other tight ends been healthy. But the NFL is all about circumstances. Really, life is all about circumstance and opportunities. And are you ready? We've heard this from a lot of people, and a wise man once told me this. Luck is where preparation and opportunity meet. Meaning, you don't just get lucky you got to be prepared to take advantage of an opportunity. That's how you really seize luck. You could think about playing some winning lotto numbers, but unless you actually go and physically play those numbers, you can't get lucky and have them come up, because if they show up but you didn't play them, you don't win. Monty Rogers is a guy that I really like, and you can add him into the mix of guys that's capable of putting up a 25-yard gain. So I'm not shocked that we're around the top of the list, but I am shocked if we are truly at the top of that list. But that's what we were excited about before the season started. It's a shame that we went through that lull, with the offensive line struggling and having to try to figure out what was the best combination and dealing with injuries and not having guys ready. But it cost us opportunities. I don't know if we would have beaten Philadelphia, but it cost us an opportunity to even really compete in that game. The Eagles, they were good for a quarter in that game. They weren't good in any other quarter but the second. Dallas wasn't good in that game. We should have beaten the Cowboys, but we weren't where we needed to be. But we got some offensive talent. That was something that we knew going into the season, and you've seen it. We've seen flashes. The consistency is what we've been lacking. We hope that Heinicke can present opportunities for this offense to be more consistent, along with a better collection of 5 up front along the offensive line. So, as you mentioned, I would like to see touchdowns attached to those big plays as well, because we still have not solidified ourselves as a legit NFL red zone offense. We're still struggling in that department. We started out the season hot like fire. Hot like fire. And we've cooled off, man. We as cold as ice. We got to get back to being hot, man. We've been stinking it up in the red zone. All right. Got another super chat here. This is from King of the North. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. King of the North, who writes, I'm worried because we don't play well in Indy or indoor stadiums, period. I'm going to do something I haven't done in a long time. Trust this defense to get the job done versus a first-time starter at quarterback. You and me are usually here, King of the North. We're usually not that far off on how we feel. You seem to usually have a great pulse of this team, and I usually agree with you. I don't think you're wrong in this scenario. I think that's going to be the ticket to winning this game. Not that the offense won't perform well against Indy's defense, but I know Indy's defense is damn good. And so I'm not expecting this offensive fireworks show. Like, I forgot who it was earlier in the evening that said the doc wrote a prescription and he sees a 40 burger coming. I don't see that happening. Not unless the defense gets involved and the Colts are loose with the ball on special teams or something along those lines. I can't see this offense just going up and down the field on the Indianapolis Colts, especially with Darius Leonard back in the mix. They're a quality football team defensively. So, to your point, I don't know if I necessarily buy into the indoor stadium narrative, but I mean, just thinking about it, we don't play well in Dallas usually. Arizona's usually not a good look for us. Indy, obviously, we haven't beaten the Colts since 2002, and that's a damn shame. Detroit has been a house of horrors for us, so I guess you could say that. I never even thought of it in that manner, but I mean, when you put it that way and you start thinking about a lot of the, we played well and we have played well in Atlanta, and we just beat the Falcons last year. And I'm pretty sure there are other stadiums that are enclosed that we've had some success in, but I think you'll probably find more indoor stadiums that we've struggled in than the ones that we've had success. So to your point, Indy has been a house of horrors. It's right around Halloween, man. Could get really spooky in Indy if we let it, or it could just be scary hours with Scary Terry instead. Who knows? We'll see. Trust the defense to get it done against a second-year quarterback making his first career NFL start. That's what I'm going to go with this week. Don't let me down, defense. We'll have more about that, though, during the course of the week. Spence Kalis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, I do not deserve to be allowed back in the car, but proud of the boys. D looks inspired and giving us a chance to win. If no turnovers, we will win. I don't like talking indefinites with this team anymore. They shattered all of my confidence in the first month and a half of the season. So I try not to talk indefinites anymore. You know, we will do this or we will do that. But you did put a big time conjunction in the front of that, which was if. And because of that, I think it qualifies the rest of that statement. I'll say this. The defense, I've felt this way for much of the year, and I've told you guys this, and a lot of you didn't. It's easier for messages to be received when you're winning. A lot of you did not want to hear what I was saying, losing the way that we did to Detroit and then to the Eagles and then to the Cowboys. You didn't want to hear me tell you that the defense is giving us a chance to win. The only 2 games this season, I felt like the defense didn't give us a chance. Really were the first 2 games of the season. And honestly, Jacksonville, you could say they give us a chance. The Jaguars only scored 22 points. If you watch the game, you understand. You know, Trevor Lawrence missed a wide open Travis Etienne for a touchdown. Travis Etienne dropped a 4th down, walk-in touchdown. Their field goal kicker missed a chip shot field goal. Like, trust me, the defense did not play well against Jacksonville. Okay, did not play well against Jacksonville. The Jaguars could have easily scored 30-plus points in that game. Should have scored 30-plus points in that game. The defense was not good. They weren't good against Detroit in week number 2. Okay, I thought the defense started to give us a realistic shot to win ball games starting in week 3 against Philadelphia. And you can say that second quarter was a second quarter from hell. They scored all 24 of their points in that quarter, but the offense didn't help them. And the offense didn't put us in positions to succeed. And the offense gave them a short field with a Wentz fumble. And the offense went 3 and out right before halftime and gave it right back to the Eagles. The defense had their opportunities to get off the field, to force the Eagles into field goals or no points, like that last fade ball they threw to Devontae Smith. That was a 4th down fade that they threw and he caught for a touchdown in the corner of the end zone. Like, it didn't have to be 24, but it was. But they played well enough for us to win. Like, if you tell me that we're going to play against, if you told me for the rest of the season, we're going to play in every game, and in every game remaining on the schedule, the team that we're playing against, the Ops, they're going to score in just 1 quarter of the game. That's it. You're not telling me how many points they're going to score, like the Eagles scored 24 and lit up the scoreboard. It's rare that you score that many points in 1 quarter in an NFL game. But if you told me defense is not going to give up any points in the first, third, or fourth quarter, just the second, I'd take my odds in that game. Whether it's 10 points they give up, 13, 17, 20, or hell, even 24. I'll take my chances. If they're not giving up any points and they're getting off the field, that's got to be the thing. They've got to be getting off the field. You cannot give up points, but you're giving up, yards, and you're giving up time of possession. But if they're giving us chances, which they did against Philadelphia, which they did against Dallas, if they're giving us the football back with ample opportunities to win the game like they did against Tennessee, I don't know what else you want from the defense. And they've been doing that since week 3. So I think they've been doing that all year. They didn't just start with this 2-game win streak. They've been giving us a chance. The offense has been terrible. Not bad, terrible. They haven't been giving us a chance. And if not for the special teams, it wouldn't have been enough defensively, even though they held the Bears to 7 points. What was it? 7 points, right? It would not have been enough. We would have lost that game if special teams doesn't get involved and set up the lone touchdown that we scored in that ball game. Anyway, I digress. We'll see if we don't turn it over, and I've remained steadfast in that we can play clean football, we'll have a chance in most games. We weren't clean on Sunday, but we were able to even the playing field. We turned it over once. Green Bay turned it over once. It's fair game. But if we can remain clean, we'll have a shot to win a lot of games. We're not good enough to help the opposition. The good thing was we got one in return. So I don't know if that's Jay or Ja. I'm going to go with Ja. All right. Ja K. Thank you. Stand up, man. Stand up. Come on in. Come on. Come on, Ja. Come on. And you can get me right on the pronunciation, whatever you prefer to be called. Come on in, man. Mob, you know what to do. Show Ja some love. Welcome him with open arms to the MOBB. Hey, we family over here, man. Once you in like flan, man. Come on in here. And I look forward to chopping it up with you. This is going to be a crazy ride. We've gotten a lot of new members tonight. Condo P, shout out to my girl Condo P for pushing the mob membership because, again, we are a big family. And this thing does go, I mean, I can't tell you, it's crazy. The relationships that have been created because of the LouieTeeNetwork. And sometimes I'm in awe of it. There are people that are now friends for life because they met here and then they exchanged phone numbers and now they talk all the time. And I'm not saying that's what some of you guys are doing, but hell, even the Discord is an extension of the LouieTeeNetwork, and it forms bonds and inside jokes and things that other people may or may not get that you're not getting anywhere else. When I tell you that we're family here. So, Ja, come on in. Welcome to the MOBB. You won't be sorry. Welcome to the squad. Stand up, mob. We in the building. Always and forever. King of the North. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. King of the North writes, O has to stick with the run and stay in third and short. Amen to that. Those long possessions are the formula for this team winning. I need to see back-to-back good performances on offense. Colts D is stout. Absolutely. I think that's the thing that a lot of people are missing about this Colts defense is that they're not this run-of-the-mill standard NFL defense. Oh, we should have a good time against them. No, these boys are legit. Okay. They look a lot like us in the sense that if they don't play well on defense, they don't stand a chance. They know that going into the game, that Colts defense knows they've got to be at the forefront of whatever success they're going to have in the game. Last year, they had to be stout defensively, and they had to have Jonathan Taylor. They don't even have the benefit of leaning on Jonathan Taylor to get it done offensively. Now it's like, hey, we got to hold the opposition down or we don't stand a chance. They're not doing it on offense right now. They did have that Jacksonville game. There is that game where I think they scored, 30 some odd points and Matt Ryan went off. But that's an anomaly for them. This is all about their defense. So long possessions, they're a part of the NFL now because of how defenses are playing. But more specifically, that's how we've had success. I don't love the 12 play, 83 yard, 6 minute and 30-second drive because of what that entails. That means you have to damn near be perfect. That means you have to convert at least 2 or 3 third downs on the way. And you're not always going to be in 3rd and 3 or 3rd and 5. There's going to be a 3rd and 9 or a 3rd and 10 or 11, as we saw in the game against the Packers. We were able to convert those in the second half. But you don't want to live that way. I much rather the 7-play, 74-yard drive that took 3 minutes and 42 seconds. But that's generally not how we conduct business. Ours is usually going to be a slow, methodical march featuring 3 for 3 on third downs, maybe even a 4th down conversion. If you're feeling frisky, it's 4th and inches. But it's been a winning formula for us over the last 2.5 years. So it is what it is. I'm with you. I need to see back-to-back solid offensive performances. Last week was a great step in the right direction, but all right, do it again. Do it again. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB. My guy, Chauncey Davis, writes. OG triple OG writes. Lou, is this Cam Sims contract year? Sign him. I mean, technically, yes, but he's already been up for a contract. We already re-signed him. But yes, technically, this is his contract year because last year he was a restricted free agent. So we put a tender on him. So technically, yes. If we want him back this year, we can't just tender him and have him come back. We would have to actually sign him to a 2 or 3 year contract or whatever the case may be. So, yeah, this is a contract year for him. I don't know if they'll bring him back or not. I know they love what he brings on special teams. They love his size. And I mean, this is the thing I love about Cam Sims. Anytime he's been pressed into action, the guy delivers, and he never complains when his role is diminished. I know he's dying for more opportunities, and I think he deserves more opportunities. And he could very well next year say, you know what, I'm better than just a core special team. You know what he reminds me of? And I know a lot of you might not even know who the hell I'm talking about, but if you watch my podcast, I've been talking about this guy all year because of the year he's having. But he reminds me a lot of Mac Hollins, who's now playing extremely well for the Las Vegas Raiders. He came into the league as a late round draft pick, mid to late rounds. I don't want to disrespect him. He might have been a 4th or a 5th round pick for the Philadelphia Eagles out of North Carolina. And he was a big play threat at North Carolina, came into the league, and he was this in college as well, one of the best special teams players, and he established himself right away as one of the best special teams players in the NFL. And so that was his role. He got kind of put into a box in Philadelphia. They never really gave him a chance to be a true receiver. And then he ended up in Miami with the Dolphins. And they gave him a little bit of an opportunity, not a ton, still a core special teamer, but they gave him a little bit more of an opportunity. And when he got opportunities, he made the most of them. Then he goes to the Raiders. And this is where shit has just changed. This is his first year with Vegas. And this dude is making all kinds of plays. He's becoming a red zone demon. And every time you look up, Mac Hollins is making a play, and he's just going like this. Like, I don't know. I don't know what's going on here. I don't know why I'm catching all these passes and why I'm shitting on all these DBs. I don't know. He's just throwing his hands up. I don't know. And I'm saying, I don't know how you're doing this. Where has this been? He's like, I don't know. That's why I'm putting my hands up. I don't know. I don't know. I don't have any answers to anything. And I'm kind of looking at Cam Sims the same way. Like, I wonder if you got an opportunity somewhere else where the room wasn't as crowded and there were more opportunities to go around. I wonder if you could be a much more productive wide receiver. I think I know the answer already, but I would hate to see him go somewhere else and get that opportunity. But I can't be mad if he makes that decision this offseason and decides, you know what, I'm going to go to Jacksonville where I'm going to get more opportunities. I'm going to go to Detroit where I'm going to get more opportunities. I couldn't be upset at him if he decided to pack his things and go somewhere else. But if they will have him and he wants to be back, I'd love to have him, because there's just this comforting feeling knowing, oh, Cam Sims has to play this week. We'll be fine. He'll fill in just fine. And knowing that he's a fiend, a core special teamer, he's going to be one of the first dudes down there, you know? And the beauty is, I don't even know if he has to do that anymore. I don't think they even have him as a gunner anymore because of Percy Butler, because of Sip. I don't even think they've got him doing that anymore. I think they got the young boys doing that. And they like, Cam, you'll be on other special teams. You don't have to be on punts anymore. So anyway, I don't know if they're going to sign him or not, but he makes me very comfortable. I'll say that. Spence Callis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. Who writes, but if you see me hitchhiking, hook me up. Hey, I'm going to try to pick up as many of y'all. If I get back in the whip, I'm going to have Ron pick up as many of y'all as possible on the way to wherever the hell we going. If you're going in the direction that we going, we see you, we going to scoop you. But I got to get back in the whip first. And again, that's if Ron will have me. So we'll see. I can't make any promises because I can't myself even say if I'm going to be back in the whip. But, you know, some of y'all that are still in the whip, if y'all see the kid, holler at your boy. I'd love to be back in the whip. Even if y'all like, look, somebody moved into the front seat. That ain't even your seat no more. That's fine. I'll get in the back. I ain't too proud. All right. Got another super chat. This one is from Chauncey Davis. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. OG, triple OG. Chauncey Davis. Double up. Writes, Scott Turner needs to make more attempts Cam's way. I don't disagree with that. And I said this at the top of the show. I feel bad for Cam Sims because he's had some plays dialed up for him. And Scott Turner has gone out of his way to give Sims opportunities down the field. And he's been open every single time. And as the quarterback is loading up to throw him the ball, he gets hit. It's like a broken record that keeps playing over and over. And I know a lot of you are too young to know what a record player is or how it works. But if there's the slightest imperfection where that needle has to go around, that shit's going to skip. And it's going to play again. 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 And it seems like it's going over and over again. It's like deja vu. I saw the same thing happen earlier in the season. Carson Wentz is loading up to get Cam Sims the ball, and he gets hit. And he's wide ass open down the field. Same shit happened in the Packers game. There was an opportunity for a jump ball in the end zone. Sims is ready for it, and Wentz gets hit. I've seen it at least 3 times this season where they dialed up a play for Sims. They've got the look in the matchup they want, and the quarterback didn't have enough time to get him the football. It's a sad state of affairs. It was good to see him touch it on Sunday, though. It was good to see him touch it. All right. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you, my guy. Chauncey writes, Lou, Chauncey, with good O-line play, Heinicke can find Cam. He sure can, and he will. Even without great O-line play. But it helps when you can go through all of your progressions and get the football where it needs to go. And you saw Heinicke be able to do that with more regularity than Wentz ever has had the opportunity to do. Wentz probably has had the kind of time that Heinicke had for some of the game, not all of the game, because Heinicke was under duress too, and he had to make some things happen despite the pressure. But there was more opportunities for Heinicke to survey the field, go through his first, second, And he does it faster than Wentz, obviously, because he's been in the offense, as he said today, for 6 years. So that helps as well, for sure. But I think you're going to see it. Chauncey Davis, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy, Chauncey Davis, writes, I guess you can tell by now I like Cam. No way. I would have never guessed. Of course you do. I think a lot of fans do. You're not alone in that. There are a lot of fans that think very highly of Cam Sims. And he's grown on me. Remember, I wasn't the biggest Cam Sims fan. As a matter of fact, I was getting really tired of fans talking about him, and he had done nothing here in Washington. There was this big Cam, Sims stands out there that, I'm like, what are you guys even talking about? This dude hasn't done anything in this league. Why do you keep talking to me about this dude? But I've grown to really respect and love what he brings to the table. So I got a soft spot for Cam Sims as well. All right. All right. So that is the final super chat of the night. And so we will get out of here and get ready for our Thursday show, which we really start to focus in on the Indianapolis Colts. Hopefully Ron is back. I don't know what the family matter is. We'll hear from him tomorrow, maybe. If not, we'll definitely hear from Scott Turner tomorrow. And I wonder if they'll give us somebody else again, if we don't hear from Ron, I wonder if they'll give us anybody else in his place. We probably will hear from some of the players in the locker room. Usually they get the locker room scrum up on the site by Thursday. So we'll have a little bit more to chew on. We'll go behind enemy lines, really start to sink our teeth into the Indianapolis Colts and kind of figure out what it's going to take to make it a 3-game win streak and get back to 500 on the season and get Heinicke some true blue Jays, add those to the collection and another team and another notch under his belt, getting another win. Somebody said something on socials. I don't know if I believe it. Maybe it's true. But I saw somewhere on socials that Taylor Heinicke is now at 500 as a starter for the Washington Commanders. Is that true? I tried to think about it, but I didn't have enough mental capacity at the time. The kids were, doing things. And so it was just a lot going on, a lot of noise, a lot of sidebar conversation. I couldn't focus when I read it. But now that I'm sitting here with you guys, let's see if we can't figure it out. So Heinicke didn't make a single start in the regular season his first year in Washington. He just started the playoff game. We're not counting the playoffs. Maybe that person was counting the playoffs, but that was a loss anyway. So that wouldn't benefit Taylor Heinicke. I'm just talking about the regular season. So 2020, he makes 15 starts, correct? He didn't start the first game against the Chargers, and he didn't start that COVID-19 game against the Eagles. Those were the 2 starts he missed. He started every other game in 2021. So that was 15 games. In those games, we went 7-10 that season. We didn't win either one of those games. So he was 7-8 as a starter last year. And then he started a game this year, right? So I guess he is 8-8. Wow. I didn't even think about that. That didn't dawn on me until I was on socials scrolling down my timeline. And yeah, he's 8-8. What do you know? Interesting. Still a small sample size, but the person on socials was like Kirk Cousins and fill in the blank and fill in the blank. Can't even say that. I mean, not many quarterbacks over the last 30 years have a winning record here in Washington. So that's not really saying much. But to that person's point, you can do a hell of a lot worse than Taylor Heinicke. I think that's the point that they were trying to make. Interesting. With a win on Sunday, Heinicke can eclipse 500 for his career as a starter here in Washington. Fascinating stuff. Anyway, I digress. I have a super chat here from my guy, Luck. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, no, it ain't. What's up, Lou? What's up, Luck? Uh-oh. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Double up. Thank you for doubling up. And he says, double up. Thank you for doubling up. Luck, greatly appreciate you. So, with that said, you guys enjoy the rest of your evening, as will I. We'll come back. We'll reconvene tomorrow. Another episode of Commanders Nightly News. Friday, you'll get my keys to victory and the prediction for the game. I will have a podcast for you coming up in the next day or two. And we will be live Thursday night for what is a big game now, Bucks and Ravens. All of a sudden, it was going to be a big game regardless, but neither one of these teams are playing all that great football. So, especially the Bucks right now. So, that's a big Thursday night game. But for those of you who don't give a shit about any other team, we'll be getting up on Thursday, Friday, and then, of course, on Sunday, hopefully, talking about a win. And remember, it's a late game. Okay, this is our first 425 game in a long time. Last year, I think the only 425 game we had was against Denver, if I'm not mistaken, last year. Because we played Kansas City at home and we played Vegas. Those were the two. And those were forced. Like, we don't have to play Indy at 425. This could have been a 105 kick. They just decided to put us in the 425 window. Don't ask me why, but they did. Okay. But last year we had no choice. We were playing West Coast teams. This is optional. I'm shocked at the NFL. And normally, if it's two teams like Washington and Indy, you're starting at 405. We're not starting you in the big window at 425. You're starting at 405. They got us in the big window at 425. Again, I'm like, interesting. But I digress. Got another super chat. This one is from Luck once again. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Luck writes, also, Alex is still a chill, man, chill. He said, and always will be. I can't with you, man. Leave my guy Alex alone. And then I got one here from my girl, Condo P. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Writes, double up, Miss Perry writes, smoke every day. Again, that's an inside joke for those of you who have been around. You know where that came from. And I appreciate you, Condo P. That's got to be timed up right, though, for it to hit, to have that same effect that you're looking for. Got a super chat here from Mike Stevenson II. Thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. Thank you for being a member of the MOBB, who writes, repeat after me. Fly, Eagles, fly. What's up, Big Lou? What's good with you, man? Always good to chop it up with you, Mike. Good to hear from you. Y'all are 6-0. As I told my guy, Chris, at the barbershop, talk your shit, man. Y'all 6-0. I can't say nothing to you. And you smoked us in week 3. I got nothing for you, man. Nothing but respect for you right now. But I you know what? I am not going to hate on what you guys are doing. I'm going to hate that, if you guys keep winning, and I'm definitely rooting for teams to beat y'all ass. Of course, just like you're rooting for teams to beat us. That said, y'all are getting it done, man. And I don't see the Steelers stopping you from making it 7-0 to start the season off. I don't see the Texans the following week stopping you. So you'll be undefeated more likely than not when we see you in week 10. And a little part of me is hoping that you are, but of course I want you to lose every week. So I would love nothing more than the Steelers to win the Battle of Pennsylvania. They're not going to, but I would love nothing more than Kenny Pickett to have a coming out party against y'all. Highly unlikely. Same with Davis Mills on a Thursday night. So whatever the case may be, I look forward to seeing y'all in a few weeks. And I look forward to the outcome being different than it was the first time. But again, we shall see. Luck, thank you for the super chat. Greatly appreciate you. My guy Luck writes, die, Eagles, die. F out of here, meatball. Hey, be nice to the guests, okay? Be nice to the guests. Man, you guys are crazy. Anyway, I see some of y'all talking about the Eagles trade. I'll talk about that on the podcast, them getting Robert Quinn for a 4th-round pick. Robert Quinn hasn't been great this year, and he's old, but on that defensive line, maybe he'll stand up and end up being really good for the Eagles. We know he's capable, that's for sure, but he hasn't been the Robert Quinn of old. Like last year's Robert Quinn was ridiculous. He hasn't been that guy this year, but maybe a change of scenery might rejuvenate him and get him to play at the level that he was playing just a mere season ago. But anyway, I digress. You guys get out of here and take care. And as always, God bless and good night.
Here comes the diesel. Here comes the diesel. There's the snap, hand to Riggins. Good hold. He's got the first down to the 40. He's gone. The 35, the 30, the 20.